Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charles Derrick.
This is J-Rob.
And this is Bringing the Noise. So, J-Rob, and when I was thinking about this podcast all day today, all I could think about was, first off, us having Cam on the show from the Pygmies. And in my mind, when I came into this business 16 years ago or so, whatever it was, all I heard about in the show band business for this region was US and the Velcro Pygmies, And at that time, I swear to this, I remember telling it, well, they're not going to be around much longer. They've been doing this a long time. They're not going to be doing it, and I didn't know. I thought they'd been around for, ever. It just seemed like it'd been around, since the early 80s or something, And I was like, well, they're not going to be around much longer. So we can take this, new age thing and we can go and we can do this. Let me tell you something.
That way.
It didn't work. It didn't work. And not only that, these guys are still killing it. I mean, they're still the go-to. They're still
top of their game.
Top. I mean, still the go-to when folks want a show and they want it done. Hey, is US booked? Is the Pygmies booked? And it seems like in these recent years, everybody. I say recent years, man. To me, recent years is decade. But in some of these more recent years, you started hearing the Molly Ringwalds and so, but my thing is this guy that's on the show today has his story awesome. Just like a lot of the people, not all, but a lot of the people that's been on the show. And I'm talking about a career that, once again, I'll say it again, it's becoming redundant, but a career that most people will not reach, most people will not do, and most people will not get to do their career as a true living, having a family. Now, and I said that all in one sentence because you can sometimes have a career in this business when it's just you, and you can kind of do those $100 gigs and $150 a man and whatever, that some people do, maybe in a small market, or whatever. But to go to all types of markets, in the Southeast and have a full family and provide for that full family and invest in other things and all this type of stuff, most people do not in this business get to those kinds of levels. Or they're wanting a record label to do that for them and live off of that for a while. And then a lot of them, when they come back down that ladder from the record label, they don't know what to do, or they don't even have enough of that money left, to do something. It's astounding to me, the career these guys have had from US, and Richie is one of those guys, coming from Canada. Man, I can't wait to hear this, right? Most of us are just like, hey, let's go play the bar down the street. I mean, you're talking about guys leaving a freaking country, and coming down into territory just uncharted by any of them, and hey, let's go try to do it. Let's go try to, be that American band, let's go
take over and do it.
And I know there's a whole lot more to this story. A lot of people watching this podcast may think, well, yeah, they became the college band and they became real popular in that scene. Let me tell you something. You need to know right now, there's a whole lot more to this story. And not just when it comes to US, but when it comes to Richie, there's a lot you don't know. And there's a whole lot more to this guy's story than what you can even fathom from those shows you may know him by in recent decades, right?
Decades.
This guy, I know, but this guy has been a part of I know of 27 albums in studio from different, things and different bands. Maybe probably more. This guy was in a band with Alanis Morissette, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that Jagged Little Pill too. And played on stage with Vince Neil. I know that. I remember that distinctively. These guys that a lot of people watching this podcast know, they have headlined at Neshoba County Fair on the main stage. And most people don't get to do that. Okay. That's usually national acts, right? But two people we've had on the podcast have been a part of that, Jason Miller and now Richie, to tell how that is. A lot of you people watching the podcast have probably been in that crowd, and you know how big it is. He's a family man. Every time I get on Facebook, I mean, this guy is talking about his boys and his family, and he tries to be there. And I really can't wait to get to talking to him in a minute about how do you juggle that, because that's got to be hard. I mean, you're not talking about going to your work down the street and coming home, and I know some people can relate to this without going too deep. People that are gone offshore, maybe a month or so, and they come back for a month or whatever. But to be gone weekly, days at a time and stuff, it's hard. But this is a beautiful thing that most people don't get to do. And if you have a understanding family, I can't wait to hear how this all works with him in that, territory. Got a beautiful wife. We just saw her a while ago on here, Rachel, and awesome guy. We got Richard. Hold on. Let me make sure I got this right. Let me say it correctly. We have Richie C. Kid Dynamite Wright on the show.
Sunshine, every single day has to light my way, and darling, right before my eyes, it don't come as no surprise that it's easy loving you, and baby, till you came along, there was always something wrong around me. There was emptiness, of course, but it's alright. And it's easy loving you. Sunshine, having you around, you're the light I never found, darling. Every minute you're away, but it's brighter. Sunshine.
What's up, brother?
you didn't do the whole bring the noise thing yet. Come on, man.
Well, not see all of that's it's the same pre-record. We
It'll
did
just be
that.
stuck in.
Okay.
It'll be stuck. Yeah, it's the same one
It's
every time.
going great, man. And I'm like going, holy crap! Like I did do a lot of those things, you know. It's like,
Had to think back on it.
yeah, I mean, it's been a long time.
Man, we really appreciate you spending time with us tonight.
Hey,
Bro.
J-Rob, Charles, thank you for having me, man. I'm blessed to be here. So,
Amen. Ain't we all?
yeah.
Now you are in near Atlanta right now,
I'm in Atlanta at this moment. Yes.
and he's being a trooper, so because he's an hour ahead of us, and doing the late night thing with us because it's 9 o'clock here. I think it's going on 10 where he's at. So I really appreciate that big time. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay. I actually appreciate my wife because it's our last night together. Because I got to go work tomorrow for 3 nights, and then I got to be with my boys for 3 days next week. So I won't see her for about a week. So this is this was our last night together to hang out and chill. And we did do Cinco de Mayo tonight. We had some margaritas and some good Mexican food, and it was weird because they were playing 80s music.
Great.
And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I saw this band. Yeah, I saw that band. I used to do that song. Right? So, yeah, I saw them twice. And so yeah, it was kind of weird. It was kind of fun, but yeah, I appreciate that she's letting me do this tonight, and she set me up here because I'm technically challenged, man. Trust me, I don't know what's going on here.
Well, to watch you behind that drum kit and all that stuff you got going on, Wizard of Oz back there, I beg to differ on the technically challenged.
I
Maybe
think
with
that's
Zoom, he may be technically challenged, but there is a Wizard of Oz going on behind that massive drum kit at night.
Yeah, there's I run all the keyboards and all that stuff back there on the computer. So I know how to turn it on. I know how to get to each song. And now that I'm old, I can't really read it, so I kind of have to count. Like, okay, Bohemian Rhapsody is third one in. There's been a couple of nights where Kelly's called out a song, and I've hit the wrong song, and we're just okay. Well, let's roll with it. Like you stole my line. You stole my line.
Yeah. You told me about the bringing the noise.
Do U.S. promos for the Instagram or Facebook. U.S. is bringing the noise. And then I heard this show, and I was like, going, mother.
I forgot what it was that you actually he had came up with something else. Yeah, I think that was involving the noise, and I changed a word on it with him to say, well, why don't you just say this? And that's why it ended up being bringing the noise. But
man,
I swear, I didn't even think about it until you said it. But then when you said it, I was like, shit, I do remember him saying that in some status updates.
Promos, like U.S. is bringing the noise.
Be sure when you're giving him his intro in a second that you give him props for our show
for stealing it.
Man. I'm like, golly.
This is the man responsible for all this.
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys, are you guys starting to get sponsors now or what?
We're still planting the seeds of it. I mean, and just, like I said, we're just getting them to sharing them and getting a lot of people, looking at it. It's a lot to juggle with this with the Dukes of trying to get all that going, and
I texted you that. I was like, dude, I don't know how you do it. Like seriously, and stay married. Like seriously, that's
it's time consuming, man. All that stuff that we've done with the band the past years, which grateful for it, the opportunity to get to do it. It's been fun, but that and then starting this and other work and stuff
I think this is great, by the way. I think this is totally awesome, and it's what's needed, especially for younger bands or just fans of music, just to see this stuff. Like it's like, wow, I didn't know that about that band, or I didn't know that about that guy, or I didn't know the industry was like that, or it's just.
Well, music nerds are interested in stuff like that anyway, but it's cool for people to get to see that other perspective.
Yeah. Like, and I hope you guys get sponsored, and I hope you get it picks up, and I really, I think that would be awesome. I think this is a great media thing that you got going on here, and damn, I wish I had thought of it.
Man, we really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it too. But what was I going to say there? Look, there's a lot, and I've got 2 little boys. Just had to put them to bed a while ago, and I've got a freaking blanket up here over our overhang, just to block out the noise from the rest of the house.
Well, I noticed because you're always talking like you're right on the mic.
I get it when I'm really wanting something. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, man. I'm like, so Richie, I'm got this thing on. It's like, oh, it's almost like sweaty balls or something like that.
So people don't realize I'm just trying to keep from waking the kids up.
I get it. I totally get it. Like I'm totally there. And like I told my wife, "Oh, I'll do this in the basement." She goes, "No, just do it in the office." I'm like, good. You'll be in the next room. See, I'll just turn up my noise maker. I'm like, okay, I'm telling, dude, I'm loud.
I love it.
So she's like,
and you're not using a external mic or nothing. I mean, I can hear the ambience in the room. You're just using the pad or phone or whatever.
Yeah, right? It's like this special thing because she works from home and does meetings every day. So she got like this little thing down here, and I don't even know what it is. I'm technically challenged, so I don't even know what this is.
We can hear you great though.
Yeah, man, okay. That's a great setup.
Okay, well she's got it going on. Then I'm using her computer, so anyway,
we could have got away with something similar, but we was trying to go for looks to, go through with all these episodes.
It's funny. We were at dinner and she goes, "You want to have a background too?" And I was like, "No, I just whatever. I can set up with a background." I was like, "No, don't worry about it. We'll just do what we do."
Big US banner behind you.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I remember once she had a work meeting with a bunch of people and they all had backgrounds, and one guy had one of our US pros up behind him. And he goes, "Look at this," and I'm like, "Oh man, is he making fun of us?" Who knows? But it was kind of cool at the same time. What's funny though is, oh God, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. She's like an executive director at Cox Entertainment. I mean, Cox Media and stuff like that here in Atlanta. And she had one of her guys was like, so is your husband? He plays. She goes, oh, he plays in band U.S. He goes, oh my God, I used to see them when I was at Auburn and blah blah blah. He became like a little kid all of a sudden in this meeting. I'm like, going, oh, okay, cool.
That's great.
Good times.
So you guys are living in Atlanta now?
My wife and I, we have our home here in Atlanta. Uh-huh. But when I have my boys in Mississippi, we have a home over there in Mississippi that I go and stay at when I have them.
Okay.
Okay. Well, who's with the boys now?
They're at their mom's in Mississippi in Starkville.
Their mom. Okay, I'm confused. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm with you.
This is the second marriage, Charles.
Yeah. Okay. But y'all have a son too, right?
No, we have my wife has a stepson. I mean, I have a stepson and a stepdaughter. So she has 2 kids from her first marriage, and the stepson is an amazing swimmer, and my stepdaughter, who used to be into figure skating, believe it or not, here in Atlanta, is now a rower. Like,
wow,
pretty cool. But it's been pretty awesome to watch them grow into their things. You know what I mean? It's and funny thing is, like, you've seen me, Charles, with my boys, and I'll drive to wherever and see them play baseball.
Play ball, man. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll do the same thing for my stepkids. I mean, I was playing, where was I in Florida? I can't even remember now. And my stepson he's a competitive swimmer, was swimming in Orlando. And I drove from wherever, I got up early, drove over and watched him swim and cheered him on. And then I drove back to my gig wherever I was. I mean, I do that for all of you. And if I can get to the figure skating or the rowing, I do it, man. So it's pretty awesome. Cause I mean, we've been together now for over 10 years now. So I've seen them grow into these amazing kids, young adults, let's say. It's like, so.
Dude, I'm so glad you told me that, because I would have screwed up the intro. Oh man, I'm so glad you told me that. Yeah, see, I'm married twice as well.
Right, and I was telling her earlier. I said, the funny thing is, Charles and I lived in almost the same apartment complex when we were both going through the same stations in our lives.
Yep.
I mean, we were both newly divorced, and we had, you were in one building, I was over in the other, and I said,
dude, if I'd have known that was, I said I could have swore that was him, but I never saw you. I don't know. It was weird. I mean, I guess me and Logan just stayed inside there. Do you know Logan, my cousin that lived in that townhouse up there, Logan Lowry?
No, I honestly, God, I was either working or taking care of my kids or being here.
Well, you being a State fan, he was the beat writer for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal out of Tupelo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he went everywhere Mississippi State sports went.
Very cool.
But anyways, yeah, I remember seeing you there and just driving in one day, and I said, that is Richie from US. And then I was like, maybe he was just here seeing somebody or something, because I never saw you again, I don't guess.
Well, what's funny about that, and I tell people this all the time, but I try to keep it low key. Like I don't go out of my way to say, hey, I'm Richie from US.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
ego BS.
I'll tell you a funny story about your trademark guys one time. When my oldest son was playing T-ball, second year of T-ball, and I coached him every year in rec ball. So second year of T-ball, we're playing, and I'm looking over at these coaches at the other team, and I'm thinking to myself, these guys are gunning me. It's a T-ball game. Like I could see them like, hey, two guys. So nothing happens in the game. It's just a regular T-ball game, rec ball game. At the end of the game, the teams are shaking hands, and the coaches were walking up, and come up to each other, and these two guys go, "Hey, are you the drummer for US?" I go, "Yeah, I play drums for US." And he says the other guy, "I knew it." Blah blah blah. It's two guys from Trademark. They had been coaching their kids too, and I didn't even know they were in Trademark. I was just like, I see them talking, pointing, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is a T-ball game. Why are they gunning me?"
Dude, I wonder if that was Jay.
It was one of them. Might have been the drummer.
I bet it was Jay.
Yeah, and he's hitting his buddy, going, "I told you, I knew it was him." I'm like, going, "Oh," I said, "Thank God, man! I thought you guys were like gunning me for something." Like, I'm like, "I don't know."
Going to take that other coach out.
Yeah, like T-ball. Seriously, But yeah, it was kind of funny. It's kind of funny when people realize who you are, but you don't brag about it. You know what I mean? I played roller hockey with a guy for 2 years in Starkville. 2 years. He was a college kid at Mississippi State. And I'm playing at the Swamp for spring break one year. I'm playing on stage, and this guy walks by the stage, and he's on his way to the bathroom. He does one of these, like, and I'm like, and I look down, I kind of give him one of those, hey, and he's like, so the next week we're playing roller hockey. He comes on, dude, you never told me you played in US. And blah, 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 blah. And next, and that's 2 years of playing roller hockey with this guy. He didn't even know. It's kind of funny when people figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm the low key guy in the band. I'm not Jeff. I'm not Kelly. I'm not going, hey.
Yeah.
And then they know those guys. They're up the front. But it's kind of funny when people actually figure it out and they go, oh my God. And it's a plus sometimes and it's a minus sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes it's like they only like you because before they knew who you were, they're kind of like, man. And then
hey, bud.
It's like,
come meet my great friend, and yeah.
No. You just treated me like shit like 10 minutes ago. No, don't even start,
I've had a few of those, but I was in McDonald's one time and a woman comes up behind me and I saw her out of my peripheral, walk behind me. She walks up behind me. She goes, "I know who you are." And I'm like looking straight ahead, and I'm hearing her and I'm like, "Don't tell nobody."
Is this like Amityville Horror? What's going on?
And I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to care.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But this, like, you don't know who those people are. You know what I mean? They all of a sudden, like, okay. I like genuine people. Like you get to know me first, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you US. It's like, I like that. I prefer that. I don't like meeting people and I'm the drummer. Oh, I did this with Alanis, whatever. It's kind of like, I don't
all that name dropping and whatever.
Yeah, because your feet hurt after a while.
Yeah. Well, who you are to me is what matters. I could care, about all the other is cool and all, but it's not going to be what I think about you. What you, who you are when I'm around, is who you're going to be to me.
Yeah. And anyone that ever sees our shows and meets anybody in the band, I'm usually the last guy because I keep people at a distance. I mean, like I it's just from years. I've been practicing social distance before social distancing was. So I mean, and you can ask Kelly and Jeff. I mean, it takes a long time for people to break my bubble.
Yeah.
And get in my circle. Because I've always prided myself on reading people.
Sure.
And I'm pretty good at judging people when they come up to me and talk to me, and I can, okay, yeah, or I'll bring you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I pride myself on that. So I keep people away for a good time, and then I see, okay, they're around. Okay, they're around more and more. They're actually good people. I'll bring them in my circle now. I'm weird that way. Sorry, guys.
No, it's respectful is what that is. Because you never know agendas of people and all. In today's world, it seems like so many people have agendas instead of just being straight up. Hell, if you got an agenda, hell, just tell it straight off the jump. And I may not like you or I may not like it.
Respect it.
I'll respect you.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be honest, open.
Yeah. Just keep it real, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
and when you name drop and when you do that kind of stuff, it's not real. It almost makes you kind of phony too. I'd rather have somebody come up to me and go, hey, it's like the other day I was at Strange Brew putting gas in my car, and then I went inside to get a coffee. I had a mask on even, right? And this woman comes up, she said something like, and I was like, excuse me? Because I've got rock and roll ears, right? She goes, you play in US? And I said, yeah, I do. She goes, you played my wedding. And I was like, oh yeah. I remember now. That was over at that place there. And she goes,
yeah. Probably had no idea.
And then she took her mask off. You remember me? Like, yeah, you
You looked great in that dress.
But anyway,
you look great in that white dress.
Yeah, you were only one in the white dress. It looked great that night. That was awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. Didn't you get married? No. Anyway, but yeah, it was kind of funny. It was kind of weird, even with a mask on. It's kind of like, oh, you recognized. It's like, wow.
Well, the cool thing about this podcast is no matter what happens with it, no matter how many people watch this, whatever, I look at it, and I said this before, you can always go back and look at this as a stamp in your life of that's where, man, and we talked about a lot of that stuff, and it's also something for people's kids to go back and see. This is almost like a diary, point in your life and talking about things that's happened till now.
Charles, I'm going to stop you right there because at dinner tonight, I was saying that exact same thing to my wife. And I said, I want something for my kids to watch down the road and go, yeah. Dad did that?
That's what Topher was talking about, dude. He got sentimental talking about it. He was like, I mean, he literally told his daughter he loved her. I mean, in case anything happened to it. I mean, he was like, you know, this is pretty cool because look, we've all had interviews from people, right? But usually those interviews don't last but a few minutes and you go over just little quick whatevers. Here we're actually talking about your life and like really allowing to go into detail as long as you want and like things that don't even get to happen at a dinner table conversation.
Oh, for sure. And what's weird is for years now, my oldest son, you know, I'd be putting him to bed. He said, "Dad, tell me a story." And then as a musician, you're going, oh, wait a minute. I can't tell him that one. You know, but there's those odd stories that you can tell and stuff. But at the same time, it's funny that and ironic that I was talking about this exact same thing at dinner tonight with my wife, and saying that this is kind of one of those things that it's going to be there for my kids to watch down the road or next week or 10 years from now, and their grandkids and go, holy crap, he did what? He did this and that and da, 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 da. And like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't really pay attention because I'm a kid.
Yeah. What's Richie's story? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, there's going to be people that's going to want to maybe do US in general or whatever, but what is Richie's story? Because Richie's goes a whole lot deeper than just the US thing.
Yeah. It's been a long time. It started in my mid-teens, you know. I remember my very first actual pro band was older guys in high school. They were 2 years older, you know, and they got rid of their drummer. Ironically, he was the first drummer of US. But anyway,
really?
I was in this band and they were 2 years older than me. And I was like, oh my God, we're playing high school dances and stuff like that. And I thought about it recently. I never got paid. Those guys got paid. I was just happy to be there. You know, I'm on stage playing, you know, and I was like, going, wait a minute. The band got paid. Those guys got paid. I never got a cent for those gigs in those first couple of years. And ironically, we were rehearsing at my parents' house.
Gotcha.
So, and I never got paid. But I, you know, I sunk my teeth in it. You know what I mean? That's those are those learning years, and you know, you can't pay for stuff like that.
No, you can't.
You know.
Now this was, I mean, obviously this all came from Lance Romance Wright, who was a magnificent, or still is a magnificent drummer, right?
He's it's kind of embarrassing because when he actually he was a manager in a drum department in a big music store in Toronto, and I would roll in there and you know he'd be doing stuff and I'd be going, all right, I gotta go. You know, because I mean his chops are and still are like amazing. Like I don't have that. You know, I'm a flopper. you know he's just technically. He was good, but you know, he was a rock and roll guy at one time, and he even told me this. He said, "I was never always like this." He goes, you know. So yeah, he was a rock and roll drummer, and I kind of grew up in it, sort of. My parents had split and everything, and lived with my mom. My mom was a teenage mom at the time, and she worked hard. I mean, we lived in a basement flat. And in this house in Toronto, I was born there, like with, you know, my dad and my mom at the time. And then he split and with, you know, and she worked hard, man. She raised me for a good while there. And then I went and lived with my dad and my dad and his girlfriend and her mother at their house. I slept on sofa cushions. That was my bed, you know. So I learned early about sleeping on the floor.
Sure.
Not just being in a band and sleeping on the floor. You know, and he was a rock and roll guy. So I grew up with the girlfriend and her mom in this house, you know, which was kind of weird, but and when my dad came home, we stayed in the same room. So it was his girlfriend, him, and me on the floor on these sofa cushions as my bed.
Yeah.
So good thing I fell asleep early, because I don't think I wanted to hear or see anything what was going on. But yeah.
What was, and I've got a question. What was the biggest difference? I've never been to Canada before. I know nothing about Canada. So what is the biggest difference? I mean, and I realize that's close to the line there, but what are some differences there with Canada, and maybe even back then that's different now, but what's the major differences really in Canada?
I'll tell you what, the major differences I noticed when we first started touring in the US, in Canada, you had to be a spot on musician. There was no hackers. If you wanted to tour a country, play the A rooms and all that stuff, you had to be spot on as a musician, entertainer. You had to have a show, like light show, PA. I mean, there was no 6 lights on a stick type thing. It was like, and we're talking Par 64s.
Yeah,
you remember those?
Oh yeah.
And you're carrying 80, maybe 100 of these things.
Mm-hmm. Hot and heavy.
I mean, but just the weight of them alone, just setting it up, and that. I mean, you could not be bad. And when I'm not saying that musicians were bad when we came down here. It was just a different scene. You know, we came down with this huge show, and we were going into rooms, and they're going, holy crap. Like, wow. Okay. I remember our second gig was in the US was at Dirty Harry's in Key West. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dirty Harry's, but the stage was in the corner. Mm-hmm. And our light show and everything went out past the stage. Like the way we set the show up, the audience was part of like the light show.
In the lights.
Our show was enormous. I mean, it was just, and we were hell-bent. We were our first tour in the United States. We're bringing everything in. You know, we're Key West, hot as Hades. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going on stage in leathers and performing and just sweating every night.
Yeah.
And it paid off. It really did. It really did pay off, man, in the long run. But at the time, you're just young and gunning for it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a difference, because we're looking at these other bands. We're going, okay, they're doing their thing, but they're not
doing that extra effort. Like,
you know, and I think that's really helped us growing up in Canada. I mean, we were not, I mean, we played A rooms, don't get me wrong, but man, there were some great bands, great musicians.
Sure.
There's great bands, great musicians down here. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough that I've, you know, you do gigs and stuff like that. And sometimes you have an energy to go out after the gig. And I would go to some of these smaller bars and see amazing musicians, and that none of the rest of the world will never see. Yeah. But I got to see them that night, and I was blown away by them. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to go do this A room down the road, play for 2,000 people tonight, and I'm not even half that talent. But I've been blessed to see some really, really great players and great singers and great entertainers, and especially in Canada. I mean, growing up there in that music scene, it was cutthroat, man. It wasn't easy.
Now, something that stood out to me was that back when you were younger in Canada, and was it Canada Standard paper?
Canada Standard, it was like
in the late '80s, and they said he's the right stuff. Local drummer Aims High.
Aims High. And
he big picture of him, you know, back then looking like Bono from U2.
Nice.
I'm thinking about going back to that hairdo. But anyway,
I mean, dude, you look, it's weird, man. Some of those pictures, it's almost like, spitting image of him younger days,
And the sad part about it was I was trying to get that image of the lead singer of Big Country. Big Country I was a huge fan of Big Country at that time. And I was like, yeah, man, okay, let me get this settled right now. My ultimate idol is Stuart Copeland of the Police.
Gotcha.
Okay, I get it.
And Tony Thompson, that you all will know from Power Station, but he played with Chic, played on a lot of studio albums from, But anyway, yeah, but back then, and they said, I think when they said Ames High, it's because my cymbals were so freaking high. I get that a lot from a lot of people, and I actually lowered them, and they're still high to people. Like, oh, man, how do you do that? Because I'm a flailer.
Well, that whole arena rock look that fits it. I mean, the big drummer, and that's what we was telling Bill Marshall. That him and Mark Herndon from Alabama, to me, they were the most iconic country drummers in the 80s and 90s. But they had that arena rock drum kit with the tall cymbals, and I mean, that's and when I see you, a lot of times, and had that going on, it's just like, man, that fits it. It just fits that whole thing.
Yeah. I actually learned that from God, who was it? One of the things I do whenever I play a new room is I walk around after we set up. I will walk around the room and look at my drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think, okay, if I'm way back here,
how does that look?
How's that guy going to get to me? He can't move. He's not on the stage. He can't jump off the stage because he's wireless. I got to get to that spot in the room.
Right.
So I walk around the room everywhere we play, and I go, okay, I got to focus to this person tonight. And I learned that, who was it? It was like Kenny Arnoff. I got to hang out with him one day, drummer from John Cougar. And studio guy, big guy, like just he was John Cougar's main guy for years. Like, he was the guy. And I got to hang out with him one day, and we were talking, and he did a clinic that night after we were hanging out, and I was helping him set up. And one of the things he said, you got to aim for the back of the room. And so that's what I try to do as a drummer, is to aim for that person back there, and I make the gestures, what I mean? Your faces, and and the arms, and the, and so that's what I do. And I'm, honest to God, I'm not only walking around the room to see where I'm at. I got to find my escape route too.
Just in case.
Like, hey, where am I going to go if something happens?
Fire starts flying. Where we go?
Yeah. That kind of thing.
Well, I heard some interview there with, I think Bruce Dickinson was talking about singing to that guy, like way back there.
Yeah.
But there's the same difference if you're on the kit. You're trying to play for everybody in the house, not just those folks on the front row.
And the disadvantage as a drummer, you're stationary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those front guys can run around. They can jump on the PA, and guess what? They can also run out in the crowd because they're wireless.
Sure.
So my thing is like, God, geez, okay. Years and years ago, about, oh God, I want to say about 8 or 9 years ago, I came to the band and said, hey, I got this extra little small drum kit. Why don't we set up a little stage in the back of the crowd or in the middle of the crowd? We'll cover it up. And we did this for about 6 or 7 months, where I'd go out to Kelly be doing his little patter. I kind of sneak off the drums, and I'd go out to the drum kit in the audience. We'd take off the whatever we had on it, and Kelly go, hey, where's Richie? And we would do songs off this little riser that we had out in the middle of the audience. We do 2 songs, but I would start it. And people, they turn around, they're standing right there, and they're like, oh my God,
I bet they loved it.
Right here playing,
Dude, that's a fantastic idea.
Dude, that's Tommy Lee stuff, man. Yeah. I mean, in a smaller, deal, but that's awesome.
And it worked in some rooms, man. It was awesome. It was really cool. So they would come off stage, and the people at the back of the room were now at the front, and the front of the audience, like, oh my God, and it was a really cool idea that I actually stole from Brian Adams, by the way.
Please say y'all got that on video or some pictures or something.
I don't know if we have it on video or what, but it really worked for a while, and then after a while I was like, oh, okay, we got to set this up, we got to sound check it.
Tired of doing it.
No, we got to tear it down, we got and
you already got the hardest job of just your
right.
instrument to set up. Now you're gonna do it twice.
You know what? I still want to do it. I brought it up recently, and I could see the other guys going, oh.
Not again. Here we go again.
Yeah, like, wow, really? Okay. But it really worked well for a while, and it sets you apart from other bands a little bit too.
Yeah, sure. Nobody else does that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun when we did that.
All right, I'm still interested more, about this Canada stuff, because, and so your dad was I'm guessing successful with some bands and stuff. I mean, how did you get the fever? How did this all start? How did Richie end up in that paper and was already playing? I mean, and I get it, your dad, but where did this all spark up from? And maybe what was your dad's quick background?
Oh God, he was in national bands across Canada. I mean, he was touring. I mean, his last band that he was in, I mean, they were flying into gigs. I mean, it was a cushy life. It was good for him at the time. But for me, I was kind of being raised by the girlfriend, her mom, and my grandmother. Really, my grandmother. I lived with my grandmother too for a while, and
so your dad was gone. Your dad was gone a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was gone. They were touring, man. They were touring. And so what I would do was, there'd be sticks around the house, obviously broken ones, old ones from my dad. And so I would literally set up like lamp shades, like lamps as cymbals. And I had an ottoman as the kick drum, and a tractor that I would turn over and use the wheel as the snare drum. And I would put on shows for my grandmother in the living room, and I was singing, making noise. And
she wanted to kill you.
Just banging on everything, No, the one time she wanted to kill me because we had mics kicking around the house, or her apartment at that time. And this is the one time she really did want to kill me, and I probably almost killed myself. I took a light bulb out of a lamp, and I dropped that mic in it at the same time I hold it, and the whole house. I was like, oh.
Wow.
Well, won't do that again. Like, it was just like, I'm just setting up for the show, Grandma. Tapping into the power.
But she was cool about it. I mean, she was cool about letting you,
Yeah, sure. I remember waking up the next day. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So he was gone. He was gone a lot. He was.
Yeah. But the fever started then. I mean, it started then, and even I'd go over to the girlfriend at her mom's house. I'd set up on the porch, like no drums. I mean, I'm putting whatever. I was MacGyvering drum kits, whatever, with playing on the porch, man, screaming and and beating on these things. But at the same time, I was into sports. I was really into hockey, and I was actually semi good at it. I was playing on competitive teams, and so then you lose it for a while, but it's always there, and then all of a sudden, everyone else is growing quicker than you are. So you get hurt more as the little guy. I remember the coach coming in. I was playing for this team called the Toronto Arrows, competitive hockey team, and he came over to the house. He's like, man, I'm worried about your son. He's going to get hurt. Like, I got hurt in a practice. I got almost concussed in a practice,
Dang.
And he was like, he's not growing like everyone else. And I was like, he's 30, 40 pounds lighter. I was like a foot shorter.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was still giving her. I had the
heart.
The heart, and
You were the Rudy.
Yeah, I was the Rudy, and I still had some skills, but and then and then I moved from Toronto to Ottawa, and I realized, okay, hockey's not going to be it for me. What's another way to meet girls?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sure. No. Yeah. I mean, that's what goes through a young boy's mind.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, I got this drumming thing, and I can do this. I sort of started doing it in Toronto before we moved to Ottawa. My dad gave me some old drums, and I pieced together a drum kit. Actually, it was a 26-inch Ludwig kick drum that my dad had purchased from Gilmore of Triumph.
Wow.
That I still have, as a matter of fact.
Oh, man, that is killer.
Nice.
Yeah, I put new rims on it and everything, but so I had this 26-inch kick drum, like huge, almost as big as me,
Yeah.
These concert toms, Slingerland concert toms up around it, and I set up this kit, and then I ended up moving, and I was like, you know what, hockey, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not big enough.
How old are you at this point?
Oh my gosh, we moved when I was 14, maybe 15, around there. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Black and white pictures. So I don't know. Anyway, so
this is early 80s.
Like real early 80s. I'm trying to 80, 81 maybe. I don't know. And I moved to Ottawa. I went from a school in Toronto. Like Toronto's huge. Toronto's like a big city.
Sure.
International city.
Sure.
Bazillion million people. I moved to a city, and I was in a school in Toronto with 3,000 plus kids. I moved to Ottawa. I'm in a school of 800 kids.
Jackman?
Not Jackman. That was I went to A.Y. Jackson at that point in Nada, Ottawa.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that was a culture shock, number one, because everybody knew everything about everybody.
Yeah.
You go to a small town, all of a sudden it's like, what? You know that? What? How do you know that about me? So, and I was like, okay, hockey's not going to cut it. And I'm in halfway through grade 9 right now. I kind of play drum. I'm pretty good at it a little bit, So I met some people, got some friends, and we would go to these house parties, right? And house parties, I don't know what it's like when you guys were kids. There'd always be like guitars and amps and drums and in the basement. The party would eventually go down there, and people would jam, So what I found was I'd go to these parties, and you see this drummer, the guy blowing me away. Like I'm going, oh God, I don't want to get on that drum kit, because he'd do this solo, like Neil Peart-esque type solos, and you're going, oh God, I don't want to get on that drum kit now. But the weird part about it was that guy couldn't play a song with jam with the other guys.
Yeah. So
what happens was he'd do this amazing, and guys would go to jam a song, and he couldn't keep, together.
Uh-huh.
So my one friend, Brent, who's a guitar player, goes, hey, you come on over here, man. And I was like, I can't solo, man. I can't. No. Just, for the rest of the night, I'd be the guy on the drum kit.
Yeah.
Jamming.
Yeah.
And it all clicked in right then. I was like, okay. I don't have to worry about all this fancy. I just got to be the guy that can hold it together.
Go be an actual drummer, not a
be an actual
off.
Yeah, not a show off.
Yeah.
Just like that's where it all clicked in. I was like, okay, I get it now. I'm playing, I'm working here. I'm not making it's a party, but hey, they want me to play. you know. So it eventually got to the point where I got a band. We were in a band in high school, and and the funny part is Jeff, the guitar player for US right now, was 5 years ahead of me. So we went to the same high school. Okay. And he lived right next to the high school. And there was he had a band called Headlines, which eventually turned into US. Okay. So me and my buddies would jam, and I'm playing in all these other bands, just doing whatever. He knew about me. We kind of knew about each other, and he was doing Headlines and all that stuff, and I was doing chasing girls, playing drums, playing hockey, having an odd job or whatever, and so eventually when I was 16, I was in that band with those guys that were 2 years older than me that we talked about earlier, where they were making money. I didn't think about it at the time. I was just happy to be playing on a stage.
Yeah.
And so we had that band, and that's what was the catalyst to go on to doing other things with other bands and meeting other people and getting into the studios. And I mean, it was just kind of like a progression of like, okay, I can do this. I can get to this point. And every day after school, I'm sorry if I'm boring you with this, but every day after school, I got on that drum kit for at least 2 hours a night minimum. Just 2 hours a night, just going for it. And like I said, my favorite band was the Police. So this is back in the day where I put my headphones on and it was an album. I put the album on behind me, and I would just rock out. I was Stuart Copeland for 2 hours, just, controlled chaos, as I call it. And a funny story about that. So I did that for years, fast forward 10 or maybe 15 years. There used to be this old man that would walk by the house as I was playing every night after school, right? Just he'd walk by the house every night. Just I'd see him out the window. He'd do his walk. So fast forward, I've already left home. I'm playing in bands. I'm on the road, and I never ever talked to this old man ever. So one time I'm home, I'm visiting, and I go out to my car to go something, and the old man's walking by the house, right? And I said, "Hey, how you doing, man? Like, I haven't seen you in a long time." And he looks at me and he goes, "You the young lad that plays the drums in this house?" And I'm like, yeah. I moved on. He goes, "You've gotten better." And that was it. That was our only conversation.
He's hearing you every night.
Yeah, he's hearing me from day one. Just and it was kind of funny and ironic. And it made me sad when I didn't see him walking by the house anymore. It was one of those things that you go, "Oh man, I wish I knew his story."
Right.
Yep.
Stopped and actually talked to him. Instead of being a young punk and into myself. So, but hey,
as we age, and I hate to speak for you guys, but it seems to be as we age, we start to learn that life is about everybody around us, not us.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, Charles, because I think it was 1996. I had just rejoined US. I'd been in Okay, I'll give you this now. I'm the second and fourth drummer in US. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that because the 91 and then 96. Yeah.
So when I came back at the beginning of 96 and I'm on the road, I got in I was a passenger in a real bad car wreck and had emergency surgery. I was in the hospital. I had 3.5 feet of my small intestine taken out, and my whatever else was taken out, part of my colon. And before that, I was a workaholic. I mean, I'd be on the road. We'd be on the road in the US for like 3 or 4 weeks. We'd go back to Canada. Before I got back to Canada, I was automating calls like studio time. Like you need me in the studio. I'm going to be back these many days. I would literally, we would pull the bus up to Jeff's house. Everybody else would get out. I would take the bus, drive it to the studio, empty my drums, and start work in the studio. I wouldn't even go home. So I would literally, I was a workaholic, and it took that car wreck for me to go, holy crap. Like I didn't forget my friends, you know, but it's kind of like you get tunnel vision. You're like, I gotta work. I gotta, if I'm gonna be successful at this, and you put the blinders on, you don't even look at the sky. You're just looking forward. And I was like that. You can ask the guys. I would literally drive to the studio, empty my drums out, set up, and start working after a 36, 40-hour bus drive, you know, and not go home. And then reload that bus up and
well, a lot of that too is reason why you, I think, have become as successful as you did. But we just talked about this in, I don't know, the last podcast or one before, J Rob, I can't remember, but about how it takes something sometimes with people, a wreck or a family member dying or something happening to us, you know, to make them look outside the box they may be living in their lives. And like you said, that tunnel vision, and all of a sudden, you know, a whole another world opens up. Like, you know, I'm not going to live forever, man, or I could have just died, or my mom's not going to always be here, or my wife, or whatever it may be, right? Whatever it triggers you, you know, and makes you realize that this life is very, very short. And, you know, opens up a whole new world.
It was one of those incidents. I mean, we had just, I remember we just played the 96 Olympics. I mean, all these venues at the Olympics in 96, and got back, and we're doing all this stuff. And then I got in that car wreck. I was a passenger with our bass player at the time and a friend. And it was just one of those moments, man, where I remember being in the hospital, and the day after all that surgery, it hurts to breathe. It hurts to move your eyes. I mean, just everything hurts. And my mom brought me my Walkman. Okay. I was in the hospital. I can't remember about a week or so, and I didn't pick up that Walkman once. I in my head, I was like, if I can't play it, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, if I can't play music, I don't want to listen to music. And then your perspective on friends and family and just everything just changes, where you're like, you know what, I got to slow down, smell the roses. I know it's cliche, but you do. And I had another moment like that later on in life, when my oldest son was, I don't know, 2 or 3. We were walking down the street. He goes, Dad, look at the birds up there. And I went, you know what? I don't look up at the birds.
Never take time to do it.
Right. And it was another one of those moments where I was like, damn it. I thought I'd learned from my first lesson, and it took my son to go, hey, look at those. And I was like, oh crap. I don't look at the sky.
The hardest, and I've said this before, the hardest thing for a human being to do is to balance, because, then you've got some people that sit and smell the roses all day long and don't do shit. You know what I mean? Or don't do what it takes to become successful. But the hardest thing to do is to get your mind to focus when it's time to focus and do what you need to do to be successful. And then when you've done enough, that's the thing, is where is enough, right? Where is enough to let off the gas and then say, all right, it's time to take a break. Hey, even the Lord took a break on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to kick tail. When it's time to kick tail, you got to do some things, but then you got to be able to take that day break or whatever, and then back to it. But it's hard. It's hard to do it, man.
Especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Especially when you're young. Yeah. I mean, you know everything. You know what I mean? When you're young, you know everything. It's like, and then, I mean, I'll tell kids this story. I'll tell young musicians, take time to do this, take time to do that. Da, 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 da. It's not going. It's not getting in their heads. It's going to take them to have a traumatic experience. And you can only say so much.
Correct.
And you got to take care of you.
Right.
You guys know this.
Yeah. It's funny. I've got a 12-year-old, and I'm trying to teach him a lot of that kind of stuff now. But we've all been there, man. Preteen, and then teenage coming up, and all that kind of stuff. It's
my boy. I'll tell you what. My boys hate this. I'll text them before a game or something. I'll say, "Hey, go out there, have fun, and the rest. So take care of yourself." But I always put enjoy the moments, and take it all in.
Yeah.
They always look at me like, Dad, and I say it all the time. I say it all the time. My oldest son is doing some really great things right now with baseball, and I still say to him, enjoy that moment, take it all in, because I remember playing hockey, and then all of a sudden 5 years later, you're not playing hockey. Going, when did that end?
Right.
It's like, oh, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I did that like you meant with the music. If you couldn't play it, you didn't want to hear it. In the high school, I couldn't play football anymore. I didn't want to go watch it.
Exactly.
It broke my heart to go watch it because I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, I totally get it. I understand that, and it's funny. My dad, when he retired from music, cold turkey, like
just done.
It was done. And he wouldn't even go out to a bar. He wouldn't even come see me play for the longest time. And I get it now, but at the time I didn't get it. I was kind of like, what the fuck, Dad? Come on, your son, come support me. And now being older and being in the music business, I get it. I understand why he didn't want to come.
Well, that's stuff like you telling. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Jim.
Well, it made me think earlier before I forget what you said about telling your son that, enjoying the moment in it. My dad would tell me stuff like that. I've told my son stuff like that, but you don't understand. And then a lot of the old bands we were in, of course, partying and stuff had a lot to do with it. You don't remember a lot of the stuff that went down and all those experiences. And that's something we talk about with the stuff we're doing now. Fortunate enough to still have an opportunity to do something at this age, like every show, everything we do, the work we put in it, practices, whatever. I want to enjoy all of it. Like,
I want
it fully.
Like I it's not lost on me, man. Like the last times we played the fair, or even Saturday night, we played the Sky Bar in Auburn. 2,000 plus people, and we come out at the end of Motley Crue, and I look around, man. I just, like I remember the days of playing to 12 people, and then throwing stuff at us. You know what I'm saying? So, and so you look around and you're like, wow, I'm still doing this. I'm at this age, still doing it, making a good life. I'm blessed. I just go, wow, this is pretty effing amazing.
It is.
For real. And you don't just get there. You guys know this. You pay your dues.
Yeah.
I mean, you pay your dues. I can remember the first time I played at Rick's Cafe. There might have been 20 people, with US, I was like, golly. And then you just chug along, and you chug it, and you do your thing, you work hard, and word gets around, and eventually, hey man, we're packing ricks. But people don't get that. They don't go, they just think US packs a room. No. US,
there was a lot that had to happen.
Pack a room. There was a lot of work, sweat and tears and blood that got to that point where we can pack a room.
And not just then, like you said, paying dues. I remember something stuck with me hard when we had James Edwards on the podcast a while back from Stone Senate, and he said, we was talking about paying dues, and he's like, and that bill never stops coming.
Oh,
I mean, all the dues you paid before to get to where you guys are, there's a lot of stuff you guys still got to do to stay where you are. I mean, it's not like you can just rest on what you done 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
You're always trying to make the show better.
Yeah.
It's like, you just can't sit on the name of US.
Right.
It's like,
still got to perform.
We still got to perform, but also our light show. And now we got the video wall. I mean, we had TV screens. I mean, we went from TV screens to a video wall. I mean, there's always something that we're trying to better ourselves. It's funny. Like, a couple of guys in the band always go look at other bands. I don't. I worry about us. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like, okay, what do we got to do? I don't care what that band's doing. What do we got to do?
Well, you don't really want to necessarily compete with other, you want to be the best US that you possibly can.
Yeah. But at the same time, you are competing.
Well, somewhat, sure.
Yeah. Because, there's, like you said, like there's US, Velcro Pygmies. We both have these big shows, now the younger bands, they get it, that get it, are getting light shows. They're putting a show together now. Now they're trying to compete with us. So it's like, okay, all right, what do we got to do? Okay, these younger guys are coming up now. Well, okay, now I'm going to have to get the Tommy Lee thing,
Right. Yeah.
Dude, you're so right about that, man. People don't realize when you try to put on a big show, especially if you've only got like one roadie or something, whatever, maybe two. I mean, it's a lot of work for everybody. I mean,
especially
you're there
when
for
you got one that's 185 years old.
Yeah.
Kenny's
like David
a
Vance.
young spring chicken, man.
Is Kenny still coming out? I mean, is he still doing so? Because I knew he went to work at Guitar Center and stuff, but I mean, is he still?
He's our sound man. He's been our sound man for years now.
Okay, so he just took like a little break right there for a little while.
No, he was working at Guitar Center and doing us.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and now I don't. God, every Guitar Center I go in now, like, depleted, and it's kind of sad, man. You roll into these Guitar Centers now, and you look at the guitar walls, and they're half empty, and just, you got to go. Like, I go into the drum department now, and it's like, I got to help myself.
Yeah.
When the old days, you roll in, what do you need?
All over you.
Yeah. You pay for it in that department. Now you got to go in the department, find the stuff yourself. You got to roll out to the front, and there's nobody there, and you're like going, hello.
Dude, it's getting that way everywhere, man. I mean, it's like we're in a Twilight Zone or something. I mean, all these stores, all these restaurants. It's like, dude, there's restaurants here in Madison that are closing on Mondays because of low staffing.
I believe. Oh, I saw a thing on the news today where restaurants are having problems hiring people. They don't have enough staff now that everything's reopening.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody wants to do that. It's like they can't hire enough people. I'm like, wow.
The McDonald's that's close to where I grew up, I noticed when we came home Sunday or Saturday, got a big sign out front, $500 sign-on bonus to start working at McDonald's.
Oh, they're giving $60 per application. You go down there just to fill out an application, get $60
plus the $500 bonus.
I guess if you get hired.
Wow.
I mean, they got to do some kind of incentive to get people off their checks and, come
Walmart's
back in and want to
now
start
giving
working.
quarterly bonuses. Walmart is now giving quarterly bonuses to people to try to compete with the stimuluses.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. I mean, I mean, people are making more money sitting at home.
They are. I mean, you can't blame some of those folks if that's the only gig that they're capable of doing, you know.
Especially if they got kids and you got daycare and all that crap.
Sure. It adds up.
Oh, hell yeah. If you don't have to pay gas to get to your job, and you don't have to pay daycare, and, you know, it's like, yeah, I'll stay home.
Right.
But I also think that live music is it's already booming again. I mean, it seems to me, looking at pictures and stuff, like people are killing it. You know, I mean, people have missed going out, I think.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, certain markets, even our markets, we've had to not post pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we've had club owners say to us, we're opening up, and
hell yeah,
you know, and we played some packed clubs months and months and months and months ago, and we can't post the pictures. I mean, you've got police and video crews across the street from these places filming it. People going in, people going out.
Good Lord, man.
Mask, that, the other thing. I mean, and then you got these bands. There's some bands that they don't care. I'm going to post the pictures. You know, like you know what? You're shitting where you eat. You know, it's like, come on, man. Like, we're all working together. We all need to work again.
Right.
You know, like, right. So it's been, like I said, some places have been really good about it. I mean, a lot of these fraternity sorority gigs we've been doing, they've split it up. Like, half the group comes for the first half of the night, they leave, and then 30 minutes later we got another group in and we play you know, another show. And then we've had some sororities where we've played for them 2 weeks in a row. So say we played for them on a Wednesday night, the first week, the first group that came out will come the second week, the second group. Mm-hmm. So they don't miss part of the show. And the weirdest thing we did back in October, I think it was, we did a Zoom sorority party. We played this big club in Birmingham, okay?
And did it virtual like that?
Nobody in it. We had cameras, and we had a TV screen in front. We set up our show and the big screen behind us and the video wall and everything. And then we had a little TV screen in front of us, and we could see all the girls in their rooms, or they were at their homes with their parents, or they were studying, or they were like, I mean, some of the girls set up lights in their room. Like, so you're playing, they got lights going on in their room too, and they're all dancing in the room. And I mean, we tested it the night before with friends and family.
Yeah.
And to get the sound right and everything, make sure everything was all good and everything. But the weirdest part about it, Charles, you'd be playing, you know, our energy of our show. And
I was wondering, like, how awkward that would be.
It was, I mean, it is awkward because if you come to
have that show, energy,
you know, the audience is a part of the US show.
Absolutely.
You are a part of our show. And so you'd be playing, doing your thing, and then stop. You finish the song, bam.
Quiet.
You know, there's absolute time. But you can see all the girls going in their room, but you can't hear them. Wow. You know, but we did do an interactive thing. Everyone, I mean, we play like about 5, 6, 7 songs. We'd stop, and then we do like a little contest thing or something. And it worked out. I mean, it really did. And we were like sitting there, okay, now this is another avenue. If we have to go this way for the next little while, we can do it. We know we can do it.
I didn't know y'all did one of those shows, but that's remarkable. I was wondering how those type shows would, you know, how weird that would be being in y'all's place, because I hadn't talked to anybody that did it.
It was weird. I mean, you go from to
well, I mean, it's like you're playing a show versus a rehearsal. I mean, as much as rehearsals necessary, and, you know, it's enjoying to play your instrument and stuff, it's not as much fun as the gig. It just ain't. It's hard to get into it, because there's no.
You're right, Rob. It's like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
I mean, like there you are, and you're just stage clothes, and you're doing your thing, and sweating, but you don't have that same push and pull with the crowd.
Don't have the energy coming back at you.
That was hard, but we did it. I mean, I'll say this, knock on wood, a band that we all know that, hey, you got to give her, and that's what we did. We got a great response. We got a great review. And then it was like, okay, we can do this now. This is another avenue. If this is this the way it's going to be, we're doing it.
That's great to be able to adapt like that though, man. I mean,
it was lucky.
Well, it to me, it would have that feeling of being like on a TV or a news channel's interviewing you or something like that, or say some TV station is recording you. You always got it up here thinking they're watching us. There's a lot of people watching us right now, and if you do that, you're, as a front person, you're sitting there like, all right, no quiet time. As soon as we're done, start talking to them. They're watching us. They're gauging us. They're, that awkwardness of nothing's going on sticks out even a whole lot more now because there's nothing else going on. There's no chattering in the room. There's no nothing.
And that's what the difference between a TV show that you're talking about and what we did. I've done TV appearances. There's still people in the studio that'll make noise, but we were in this big club, nobody in it, 2 floors. I mean, just
Kenny's standing over there by the wall waving at you,
drinking a beer. Kenny's there, Bud Light.
Now, did you guys actually do that and like stream it live, or did you edit it and then release it?
No, we were live.
It was live the whole time.
They said they were watching the girls on the TVs in front of them that were watching them.
Yeah. What was weird was some of the girls were at home with their parents. So we had parents watching us too at the same time. And
you're expanding your audience.
Well, we've been expanding our audience for 30
I was about to say they probably had them as an audience member before.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had a guy come up to me this weekend. Hey, you might know him, Charles. Tommy Whitfield. He used to be a police officer in Starkville. Okay. When we first started out playing at Rick's back in the late 90s, like 96, 97, he was a bouncer there as well as a cop. Oh. And then this past weekend was graduation at the University of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And he came out to the club with his daughter who is graduating. And he goes to me, you guys signed a picture for her when she was a week old.
Oh my God. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's generational. Like it's so, because he goes, this is so funny. He goes, I'm at home and my daughter comes on and she's talking to me. She's like, oh, Dad, I saw this great band tonight. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, what was the name of the band? US. He's going, let me tell you some stories about the US.
That is great, man. That's absolutely wonderful.
So it's kind of funny that I saw her when she was a week old, and now she's graduating at University of Alabama. It's like, oh my God. And Tommy's a lawyer now, in Jackson. So it's like, well, you've grown up too, Tommy.
Yeah, so.
Well, and you're still doing the same thing, Richie.
Well, and the fact that you guys are still really, really, wanted, still killing it, still doing it for your living. I mean, your main living. I mean, dude, there's not many, people that can say that. I mean, there's just,
I'll tell you what, Charles, you're very blessed. Yep. Very blessed to be in this position. And it's funny, I was telling my wife tonight when we were out for dinner, Cinco de Mayo. We were out for dinner at a Mexican restaurant, having some margaritas, having our dinner. And I remember telling her today, like, I was like, after this year of COVID and being off for as long as we were, and thinking that, man, it could
what's
go
going to
like
happen.
that.
Yeah.
It can go like that. Now, when I've been playing, we're playing again, it's normal again for us,
Yeah.
almost, I'm like, I enjoy it more. I've like, it's not lost on me now that it could be gone like that. And I'm showing up to gigs now more, okay, hey, guess what? We get to play rock and roll tonight.
Yeah.
It's like when you see that movie, what is the movie? Tom Hanks, there is the baseball coach, A League of Their Own. He goes, hey, guess what? We get to play baseball today. And he's excited, it's like, I'm like that now. So I roll into the gig like, man, because before COVID, it's like, job, I got to go out there.
Yeah. Taking it for granted.
Guess what? We're playing. We're doing it tonight. It's like,
right.
So I'm like a kid again. And what's funny about it, I was telling Kelly a few weeks ago, I said, I feel like a new band. Like, we're taking anything and everything. Like, if you had seen our schedule pre-COVID for 2020, we were looking at it going, full dates, money, job, like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And like now it's like you're starting over, like you're a new band, like, okay, we'll take this gig and we'll travel to here to get this gig. We'll go to here. It's like, it's like you feel like a new band. It's like, oh my God, we got to take all these gigs.
Yeah.
And we're a call band. You know what that is, right? Meaning, like at the agency, they don't have to sell us. The agents don't have to go out and go, oh, we have this band called US.
Right. Hey, I want US.
Yeah, and they're calling, hey, is US available for this? We're a call band. It's like, but still as a call band, it's like you're taking anything and everything right now. It's like wedding, bar mitzvah, circumcision. Yeah, we'll do it.
That's what we want the Dukes to become, is a call band.
Yeah. And
eventually,
yeah. And it will be. Like, here's the thing. You got to have, you know how it is. You both know how the business is. You both know how it is. You know what you got to do. And even with US, I mean, we've had to it's gone like this years and years. You go up, you're the kings of rock and roll. And then next thing you know, you're down, you're scraping and you're like, oh my God, is this the end of it? Then all of a sudden you're taking off again. And then it just ebbs and flows, man. It's just, and when it's ebbing, you kind of go, okay, what do we do here?
What's the plan B? Yeah.
But usually we just kept moving. We kept doing it, It's nothing.
Good things come to those who do continue to keep pushing, and even in tough times, if you've got the product and that you've got what people will buy or will come see, to take them back to a time or to let their hair down, and it's not just another, you're doing more than what all the bands down the street are doing,
It's funny you say that. I mean, the bands down the street, how many, like I said, we've been doing this for decades. I'm not going to lie. It's like, and for years, every year you get that new hotshot band that comes up and everyone's going, oh, this band, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you what, we've seen them come and we've seen them go.
Yep.
Many times, I'm sure.
Yep.
We just keep doing what we do.
Yeah.
We don't worry about, oh, okay. They are good. That's great. But you know what happens? Those bands implode a lot of the time.
Sure.
Well, most do.
There's something work ethic. Yeah, and that heart, dude. If you've got that heart that you are just going to do this, and this is what you're going to do the rest of your days, you're going to do it. I mean,
just sticking with something to see it through. Through the tough times, through those ebbs. Just make it be successful by just sticking with it.
Yeah, I mean, and we've been lucky. I mean, even in like say Starkville at Rick's Cafe, for instance, there's been times where Rick's had tough times and we've stuck with them, and there's been another club in the tent that's throwing money at you going, we'll give you $10,000 to come here.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're loyal to Rick. Rick's been loyal to us when we've been down, and we're going to be loyal to Rick.
Yeah.
Rick's like 1 in a million. To be honest, you guys should get Rick on your show sometime. Like he's one of the only bar owner managers that you just love. And that's like, I'm 1 in a million. I'm not lying. I mean, he's a guy that leads by example. Like if he sees trash on the floor, he's not a bar owner that's going to go, hey, so-and-so, go pick that up. He goes over and he picks it up.
Yeah.
Puts it in the trash. I mean, this
little stuff like that says a lot.
By, like, I mean, that's a rarity in this business, and you guys know this. Don't sit there and go, oh, I don't know.
Oh no, you're exactly right.
Like there's a lot of shadiness and shitty people in this business.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny talking about that, and you talking about how a lot of people end up going out. Those people that maybe even spark pretty big, at first or whatever. Some of them, especially if I call them roaches in the business, if they're a roach, like they're a person that's maybe not honest, or they're not, sincere, or they're not going to treat people right or do people right, that it ain't going to be long. They'll end up taking themselves out, And the ones who do people right, and like you're talking about Rick in that situation, but the people who do people right and try to even treat their band members right, and the people that they encounter, and for some reason they go through the highs and the lows, but they end up surviving through it all. People want to deal with them,
And another thing too, loyalty in this business, you can be loyal to people. That goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been loyal to clubs, we've been loyal to promoters, we've been loyal to agencies and stuff like that. And that shows on our longevity and our continuous work, So, and I mean, like I said, we've seen them come, we've seen them go. Same with clubs. I mean, you'll get that one hot club for like 6 months to the new hot club, and they're throwing money at you, and you're like going, we'll see. We'll see.
But then what do you do when you take somebody up on that, and then that club shuts the doors in 6 months, and your old faithful down the road that you just said bye to, like, then that's an awkward situation.
I mean, I see that with bands leaving and jumping bars and going to the other bar. Next thing you know, that bar closed down, and they're literally begging to be back at home.
Right.
Mom, Dad, please take us back.
Yeah.
They're like, well, yeah. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Well, and this all boils back to, what started that is, it's one day you're not going to be able to do it anymore. And one day it's going to be in the rearview mirror, and it's going to be like, man, I mean, even some of the stuff I'm trying to bring out of this conversation and about your past, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bells ring, because it has with everybody we've had on, of like, man, I did do that. Or, oh yeah, that's right, man. I mean, it's some of them, it almost gets emotional, because it's like, now that we're putting it all in perspective, it's like, this has been a wild ride, and I've been really, really blessed, know.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, I've played on a bazillion albums. I don't have those albums. Man. I want to, it's almost like I want to call those people and say, hey, can you send me a copy of that CD that I played on yours? Like, a lot of those I don't even have. And I'm kicking myself like, I wish I made my own little
have some kind of collection
of songs I played on. And I just, like I said, I just worked. I didn't care.
You wasn't thinking about, treasuring and.
Yeah. I was just bang, 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 banging, being on the road, studio, being on the road, studio, being on the road, studio. There was no, I'm going to start a family or anything like, there was none of that.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you can do that, you know, and your mindset is like that, you know. So yeah, it's like I said, there's a lot of things that go on to get US to this point. Like we've been talking about, Richie from his roots to this point. Then there's Kelly to his point to that, and Jeff, and then there's Coco. You know, it's like even our sound man and light guy. I mean, it's just everyone's got a past, and they've all started it. Well, maybe not Coco. Coco came into a good US gig.
Yeah, he came in. Yeah, what 2015 or something, 2016 or something.
Yeah, I mean, you were already US. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like, so, but yeah, I mean, but the rest of us have all put our time in and grinded our teeth in this business. So, and I'm the guy in the band. I'll be honest with you. When we get a new guy in the band,
new bass player.
Like
every time, dude, it's something about bass players. I don't know what it is.
No, it could be a new bass player or a new crew guy. Yeah. I'm the guy in the band that bust that guy's balls.
Yeah.
Because you know, this business is not for the lighthearted.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I don't want to spend 6 months with a guy. It's just, and then finally 6 months later, he's going, I can't do this. First tour in with us, I'm going to bust your balls.
Yeah.
Just see what you're made of.
Well, you got to see, it takes a special person to jump into something, especially full time, like what you guys got going on. And it's not just a gig, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if they're not mentally prepared and thick skinned enough to take that on, they ain't gonna last, you know.
You can ask this guy. I'm the hardest guy on a new guy. Like, I mean, because I'm don't waste my time. Don't waste our time.
Sure, man.
That's right. You know? That's right.
You know, like it's just not for the faint of heart at all.
It's not.
And if you can't handle it emotionally or mentally, you know, or physically, like there's a lot of guys that they'll be out there for the first week and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And they're 10 years younger than you. And you're, let's go.
Yeah.
And you're going like, really? But I'm sure the guys know this, and they hate me for it, but I don't care. You know, because I want to weed out the weakness.
Well, the ones that stay around, again, they respect you for it, I'm sure.
Right, and they
eventually get it.
I'll be honest, I was like that with Coco. Coco wasn't originally a bass player in our band. He was doing lights and stuff and crewing and stuff like that. And even when he was a crew guy, I don't care. I'm gonna bust your balls a little bit to see if you're worth this, you know. And I love the guy. He's probably like one of the best bass players I've played with in this band, if not the best, you know. And but at first, I mean, you can ask him if you ever talk to him. I mean, I'm not easy.
Richie's an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much. You'll get that from a lot of people, actually.
Speaking.
Well, keeping it real is what comes along with that a lot of times, and the stuff you're talking about, and there's a lot of respect there from a lot of people when you just keep it real and try to get bottom line. That's me. I'm a bottom line kind of person.
Yeah.
It's not being an asshole. It's just, hey, we don't want to waste our time. Don't want to waste your time, you know?
And that's what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't have time for, 6 months, I got to get another new bass player. You know, exactly. I'd rather read you out in the first week or two.
Well, you want to know if it's somebody going to just be there when things are good, or if they're going to stick with all the bad. And, you know,
there's always a honeymoon period, and it's the same way I tell people when they're dating. You know, guy and a girl, when they're dating, I say, look, there's gonna be a honeymoon period, and sometimes it lasts 6 months, sometimes it'll last a year or so, but that honeymoon period will wear off, and when the honeymoon period wears off, that's when you find out what you really got. You know, that's when you find out what you really got. Yeah. And it's the same way with a band almost. It's, that honeymoon period wears off, then you see what you got in a member and what they're, how much they really, really love what the business you're trying to do.
Yeah. And like you just said, I try to weed it out right away. And I'm sure Coco will admit to that, that Richie was an asshole at first, but it's not me being an asshole. I'm just, well, maybe, yeah. But I'm trying to get to the guy that's going to be there.
Yeah. And obviously that worked. I mean, you got you a damn fine bass player and band member.
And now
a band member.
I love the guy to death. I love the guy to death. I mean, he stuck it out.
Yeah. He wanted it.
Yeah. He wanted to be, you know what? He started out as a light guy. Now he's the bass player in US.
Yep.
Like, wow.
And looks great up there too. I'm sure,
Yeah. Well, you need eye candy.
I was going to say, I bet the girls, he's got the hair, he's got the look,
Oh my God. It's funny to watch. When he was first in the band as the bass player.
Yeah.
You go to play a golf or country club private gig, and you got these rich older women in there. And I swear to God, he would get scared, man. These women would come up to the stage and they were like tigers. They were just like looking at him like, I will tear this.
Fresh meat.
Yeah, seriously. I'd be playing the drums. I'd be laughing because I could see him kind of back away from stage and all that stuff. But it's been fun to watch. I mean, you can see certain people like certain members of the band, and he's the newest guy. He's the youngest guy. He's the cute guy. So you see a lot of the girls kind of. But it was real fun to watch those. Cougars, just eyeing Coco like they were tigers in the jungle. Like seriously, like you could just see them like just like that. Like just looking at him like
ready to pounce.
And I'm on the drums like a monkey, like laughing. But yeah.
But he seems, from what I can tell on social media, like a really cool cat, nice younger guy, and he's a family guy now, and he's seems like he's got it all together from what I can tell.
But it wasn't all together. From the reason why he came down was to get away from some trouble.
Gotcha.
He was a young kid that was trying to find himself. And his Jeff sister, Coco's
nephew. Jeff's nephew. I knew that.
So she said, I'm going to send him down there. Can you help him out? Get him, and it straightened him out. He's a family guy now. He's a working man. I mean, he's just
great, man.
And he's a great soul. Coco's like an old soul. Like he's not I figured when he got in the band, he'd be like chick crazy, and he wasn't. It was kind of like the weirdest thing for the longest time. We're like, what's wrong with Coco? Like
he's not gay, is he?
We'd all be talking. Yeah, seriously. And then he wasn't. He was waiting for that one special
awesome
moment. Whereas if it was me and I was that young guy,
I know. Everybody on here has been the other, not so.
But I respected that. I totally respected that, man. I was like,
absolutely,
man. Yeah, that's
like
wonderful.
Like he's looking for something. He doesn't want the BS. He wants, and he found it. And he's got beautiful young boy. I mean, and Coco's come a long way. Like, I mean, he came down a lost, confused kid.
Well, I want to rewind. It seems like I do that in every one. People get to go and I rewind them. So back to before US and coming down and all of that. I want to name some bands, and I'm gonna make sure, hopefully, I don't know. I'm probably going to get one or two of these worded wrong. And I just want you to kind of tell us a little bit about this period. You don't have to necessarily go into detail about the bands unless you want to, but so Bam Bam Ritual, Mr. Bones, Brinko Pud.
Yeah.
Right. Skin.
Yeah.
1 to 1.
Yeah.
Batstone.
Yeah.
All right. And there's another, but I'm not going to name it just yet. Tell me a little bit about that. Was that all obviously okay? Which one of those were before the 91 period?
I'm trying to remember. It was all blended together, really.
I'm seeing this guy, Tom Sadik.
Yeah.
Sadik. Okay, he's in a couple of these.
Yeah, he was the main writer for Mr. Bones and Brinko Pud, and
Glenn Carley as well.
Glenn Carley was in US.
Okay, and in Bam Bam Ritual, Glenn Carley, what something was here because he was in several of these here. He was in Bam Bam Ritual, Mr. Bones, Brinko Pud, and US.
Okay. Yeah. When I was first before I was in US, I was like a studio guy, and I was in these original bands around Ottawa. And you mentioned I can't even remember. Anyway, I was doing studio stuff, and I worked with some people, and one of them you're going to bring up here in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And anyway, I hate to say it like this, but I was playing with all these original bands, doing all this stuff, and Glenn was in US already, Jeff and Kelly and Shane, the keyboard player, and they just fired their drummer. And I hate to say this, but around Ottawa at that time, this is before we even came down to the States, US was touring Canada. They're doing their thing, doing their stuff. But before they even did that, around Ottawa and the Ottawa music scene, they weren't taken seriously.
Sure.
So I never took US seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. And
we've all been through that. So what you're talking about, we've all been through that.
Yeah. So at that time, I was kind of like, I was playing. Who was I playing with? I can't even remember. Playing with cover bands. I was one of those guys that played with 8 bands at a time. Like I had to work every night, And so anyway, one day I get a call, and they're saying, "Man, can you come play with us?" And I was like, "No." Because in my head I was like, man,
your pride couldn't take the punch.
Right. Yeah. And then finally they had a guy that wasn't cutting the gig, and this is before a Canadian tour type thing. And about 2 or 3 days before that Canadian tour, they let him go, and they called me again, and they said, "Hey man, can you just do da 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 da?" And I'm like, I don't know. Can we come over to your house and talk to you about it? I'm like, what? Click, So my parents are at it this time. I'm living at my parents' house at this time. I'm like still like 18, 19 years old. Like I was still a young pup. And
so Jeff was driving this. I mean, Jeff was the one really pushing to get you on board. I'm assuming.
Yeah, him and actually Glenn. I think Glenn was pushing it too. And
because Kelly didn't know anything about you, right?
Right. So they came. Here's the funny thing. I got all these 4 long hairs show up at my house, come in. It's wintertime. They come in my house, snow everywhere in their boots. So they come up to the living room. They start trying to sell me. I'm thinking, yeah, I could do. And they're talking about, we're going to go down to the US.
we got these tours down and so we're doing this Canadian tour and come back, we're going to do a US tour, and then we're going to do second US tour. Would you do those with us? Okay, I'll do those. My parents come home. All these guys in my house, long hair, poofy hair, guess what? I'm going on the road with these guys, and I had to, what was it? Who was I playing with? No, I can't even remember. Playing in a band called the Paper Boys or something. So I had to call them, and it wasn't a big deal. They had a drummer, and their band was in a signed band anyway. So it was kind of like, oh, they got a better deal out of it. So that's how I got into US the first time. And then while I was in US, I got a phone call from Leslie Howe, who was a 1-to-1. And I had already done work with Leslie Howe on the 1-to-1 album. And it was an internationally released album. And so he called me and said, I got this rock band and it's called Mr. Bones. And we want you to be the drummer in the band. So I'm up on the road with US this time. I'm like, yeah, great.
Okay. Yeah. So this is 91.
Yeah. Okay. And I said, sure. I got this commitment with US right now. I'm going to finish it and then we'll do it. He goes, well, any bass players? I said, yeah. So I had a tape of their music, like Mr. Bones stuff. I played it for Glenn. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I want to, and I was like, want to play in this band? So when I left US, Glenn did one more tour with them, and he joined Mr. Bones. And then when we were in Mr. Bones, we put Bam Bam Ritual together as a cover band to make money. And at that time, I was playing with original bands like Mr. Bones, Bat Stone, Skin was a cover band, Bam Bam Ritual was a cover band. Skin. Oddly enough, about Skin, I was the only guy in that band that wasn't in a signed band. All the other members of that band, one was with A&M Records. Trying to remember who they are all signed. Who was 8 Seconds with? Polydor. So one was with A&M, Polydor, and the other one was with like WEA. I was a production deal, with the.
I didn't realize it was so rich up there with all that and people, making it and talent. I didn't realize it was that rich up there.
Well,
no offense. I just didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
No, and nobody does about certain areas. You hear about it later, like Athens. Athens was rich with music years and years and years ago.
Sure.
Ottawa was like that too, and it was cutthroat. I just got lucky. I was in the right places at the right time, and I was willing to work and go do stuff. I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And like I said, I was playing with like 5 or 6 bands at one time. Funny story. I was playing this club over in Hull, Quebec called Roxanne's. And I played there 3 nights in a row with 3 different bands. So I just left my kid up. It's just like, nice. See you guys, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. Salman and I were laughing, but it was just, it was one of those times where I think it was great that I did that, because I got to play with different musicians, and you got to, you had to learn their ways and learn about them, and it's like different bands every night. And I was just learning music, and I was blessed to be playing with these great players. Like I was the weak link, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I felt. I was always going, man, I'm the fucking weak link in this whole deal here, but it's great. Like I don't have that pressure of being a musician, like I just got to hold it together, and the first time I was in US, they didn't even know I sang. So I never had a mic the first year and a half I was in the band the first time. And then they came out to see me, and I'm playing in all these other bands, singing backup, singing songs. They're like, we didn't know you sang. I was like, yeah. I joined you guys the first time I was singing in a band, So it's kind of funny that, I'm one of the guys in the band that sings all the harmonies or most of them, and I'm lucky that I get to sing a song now. So
How did they have all of that touring set up from being, up there and have somebody, I mean, set something up down in the States back then?
It's one of those things of just knowing somebody that had moved down to Florida and was working with an agent, and that agent has heard this, and next thing we're going to give you a shot. We're going to give you one tour to come down here. It's to see how you do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I told you that story earlier about Key West. I mean, we came down balls to the wall, man. I mean, light show, production, show. I mean,
Trying to put on a show.
we had sets. Like, we used to do 3 sets. There was a white set, a black set, and a denim set. So you had white leathers for one set, black leathers for one set, and then denim for another set. I mean, we had it down. Like, it was down. We had a showdown. There was choreography, light. I mean, it was the production alone. Our sound man at that time, Phil Kogreschner, was amazing. I mean, with effects and everything, I was like, holy crap, this kid, he wasn't just the sound man, he was a part of the band.
Yeah, sure.
And
he made it better and more
full
magic. Yeah, full. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I was going to say magical.
And even the light guys we had at that time were just, they were on. I mean, it was just, the band was on, the production was on. I mean, what really broke it for us is in 92, we came to Key West again. No, 91. We played 90. December of 90, we played Key West the first time. They wanted us back for spring break. We're like, hell yeah. Well, spring break was a month.
Yeah.
We were playing 6 nights straight, 4 sets a night. They gave you 1 night off, okay? 4 sets a night. And what did it for us was we were playing, and they had those powerboat races down in Key West, where the helicopters are flying over them, and big powerboats, right? And all these sponsors and all that. So Budweiser, where we were playing in Key West at Dirty Harry's or Rick's or whatever it was, people were out on the street. They had to shut the street down. Like, that's how big a party it was where we were playing. And Budweiser reps were walking down the street going, what the hell's going on in here? And they saw us and they're like, holy crap, we got to get you hooked up with our, and we were called Us at the time, by the way. It was Us, not US.
Got you. Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that. And I didn't know.
Yeah, we were Us. And then all of a sudden it's like, Budweiser wants to throw money at you, but they like the idea of US from Canada. We're like, hell yeah, if you're gonna help us and throw money at us and make posters and this,
so that's how it changed to US.
We'll put a period there.
Wow. Okay.
Not a problem. We're starving.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how
I'm gonna start a band and call it Canada.
Yeah.
And tour predominantly
still to today. I don't think it's the greatest name. Like, I always sit back and go, people go, what's the name of your band? US.
It's brilliant, dude.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
And then they go, well, how do you go? And you tell them the story, and they're like, oh, okay, well, US, huh? Okay. And you tell them, we're from Canada. Like, so it's
cliche.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go back and you go, like, we don't have to worry about the name anymore. Really, we don't.
Yeah.
People come and see us. They just enjoy the band. They enjoy Kelly, Jeff, Richie, and Coco.
Yeah.
And US is just the sticker on the front of the band.
It's just to know where to go.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's like the point on the map.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a crazy ride. And then I left US when they got the Budweiser deal. Like I was like, oh, I'm gone, you know, and Glenn left, and at that time I was playing on all these different bands, playing with signed guys that had albums out, and being like a hired gun. You know,
so had you already been doing like regular studio work, or was you just doing studio work with the guys you were jamming with?
Some of those, I mean, like Batstone, he already had the album done, and the guy that played on that album was Gary Burke. I don't know if you know who Gary Burke is.
Not sure.
Played with the Mamas and the Papas.
Okay.
Joe Jackson. I mean, Gary Burke was a big, well-known guy. So he played on Batstone's album. I got to play on the album. I mean, I got to play the live stuff now.
Yeah.
And I remember doing the CD release party, and Gary Burke was there.
Oh.
And I was like, God damn, you know.
Yeah, it kind of is a bitch, man.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and I saw Joe Jackson about a year before that, and Gary Burke was playing drums. I was like, oh God, this guy's a monster. And I'm like, Gary Burke playing on your album? You know, all these big cats played on his album. I was like, and then he goes, yeah, and at the release party, Gary's coming out, my first drummer from blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So, and I just remember like them telling Dean, oh yeah, he's okay. He's not that good. I was like, oh, okay. You know, like whatever. I'm in the band. I'm going to be Richie. I'm not going to be Gary Burke.
Oh,
I'm not going to be.
You got to be.
And
be the best Richie possible.
That's what something I learned in that band. Remember I told you about that band where I was the young guy, and the guys were 2 years older than me in high school, and they made the money. That's the band where I learned from the singer. He said, one of my first shows, I was like, really, he goes, what are you nervous about, man? And I was like, wow. He goes, don't worry about being Neil Peart. There's already a Neil Peart. Yeah. Don't worry about being Steve Gadd. There's already a Steve Gadd. He goes, you be Richie Wright. You go out there and you be Richie Wright. And I was like, he's right. You know, like,
yeah,
there's already these guys. They don't need, you know, another Carmine Apiece or, you know, it's like, I'm going to be Richie Wright. You know, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do what I do, you know. And that comes down to that whole thing of like, I don't learn songs to a T, which makes me laugh when people come up to me and they say, oh my God, you guys played that better than the album. You played that just like the album. And I'm sitting there in the back of my head going,
oh, I didn't.
My thing is, I'll tell young drummers this all the time, or young musicians, especially drummers, because they'll come up and they'll talk to me. I'm a magnet for drummers for some reason. And not girls, but drummers. So I'll be talking to them. I'll say, when you're learning songs, I said, the key thing you got, make it your song, make it you. I said, but the key thing you got to remember are the key fills.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers Phil Collins. Da, 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 da.
Sure.
You can't just play that
make
song.
Up something.
You know? So
thanks for massacring that song.
Yeah, way to go. That's not how it goes.
You had one job,
Phil Collins.
One job.
Yeah, one job. And even like you know, like when you're learning Guns N' Roses or any of those bands, there's certain fills that are ingrained in people's heads that they know, right? And they know that one punch, or they know that, you know, I don't give a shit what I play in the rest of the song, you know, or what you just get those key fills, or that key lick, or that key solo part. You know, it's like, do that. Make the song. I don't play Sweet Home Alabama anywhere close to Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
Every night. I've never learned the song. I make it my own. I play it the way Richie Wright plays it.
Yeah.
And no one has ever complained.
Well, the key notes you're talking about, same with guitar. You know, you do a slash solo. I don't know.
Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome Jungle. Whatever. You got to hit those notes. That's just that's playing the song.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you got to hit. But if you want to improv in between when
like
you're
the
doing one
rhythm
of those
parts,
solo,
yeah, like
do your thing, you know.
yeah, have at it. Like that's a musician to me.
Yeah.
You're not only a showman at that point, you're a musician.
Right.
Doing your thing, and that's awesome. I'm like that with pretty much most of our songs. I go, oh, that's a key lick. I got to know that. You know what I mean? Like, so okay, I got to get that down, and I get the general grooves. You know what I mean? I go, okay, it's boom, 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 or it's boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? You get that down. What I also tell young drummers too is I'll say, listen to that whole album. Listen to that whole album of that drummer.
Yeah, get a feel for what
you'll get
whole.
in his you'll get in his head. Okay, yeah, okay, so that you're not just learning that song, you're learning that drummer, his feel, it's like when we were learning Bohemian Rhapsody, I learned a lot about Roger Taylor. I was like, oh crap, man! Like that part in the song, I was thinking it's like like the kick drum's doing that, but it's not. And I listened to more Roger Taylor on that album. He's playing the kick drum more like a trip, like and I was like, holy crap! I would have never played it like that. And then I said, I listened to the whole album, and you can hear the ebbs and flows of tempo and the way he attacks his kick drum. And I'm like, okay. So I do that with a lot of when I'm learning a song of band like Blink 182, Travis Barker, or anything like that. I'll go, okay, I'm going to listen to the whole album, get into his headspace, you know.
Sure.
And then you can, it makes it easier.
Right.
If that makes any sense, you know.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And you don't have to learn the album, just listen. Don't even play. Just put it on in your car and drive. Don't put your hands off the wheel. Don't tap your foot. Just listen.
Just getting that vibe going.
Like if you listen to Steve Adler on we do oh God, not Welcome to the Jungle, but
Sweet Child
of Mine.
Yeah, that's the one I got hung up on. I couldn't say a while ago.
Right. And if you listen in the solo parts where he's going bam, 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 he kind of lags a little. He's not on.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the album, there's a lot of lagging on that album, like of his shots, and you're like going, okay. So I got into his headspace. So when we're doing this solo, people are thinking I'm slowing down or something, but I'm not. I'm trying to get his feel. I'm being Steve Adler at that point.
Sure.
I'm trying to be what he was on that album, but still me. You know what I mean? Like I'm going, okay, but those are one of those key things to me. Not just a fill. It was one of those key things where, like, okay, he lags a little bit here. Like you listen to John Bonham, and people say he had a lazy left hand. It wasn't lazy. It was just the way he played.
Yeah.
And if you listen to a fill, his fills aren't like decka 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 decka. It's almost like a ba-da 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 ba-da. You know, it's like a
little bit of a funk to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like that's why I say to these guys, listen to the whole album. You'll get that. You'll get that guy. You'll get it in you. So don't just learn the one song. You know.
Right.
Listen to a few of their songs. Now, I wouldn't do that with Rush.
Well,
if the band came to me and said we're learning, I'd be like, well, who's going to play?
Take off for the next year to study that one song.
Yeah. I've listened to enough Rush to know Neil Peart, and I'm nowhere near Neil Peart.
No, there's only one.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know how long this little adventure even lasted, but we got to talk about it because of how major the name that was in it, and we just got to talk about this. So New York Fries was the name of the band.
Yep.
And so it comprised of Kevin Little, Rick Kumar.
Yeah.
Richard Wright, and Alanis Morissette.
Yeah. Yeah.
That so was New York Fries.
New York Fries was the name of the band.
Wow.
I'll tell you a funny story about that name. I was actually working in a woman's clothing store in a mall. I was like the only guy. I was the only guy.
This was women's shoes. Yeah. Al Bundy sold women's shoes.
Yeah.
Right. But, so, yeah.
He said, look, Richie was selling panties, it sounds like. And panties.
He had a lot better gig than
actually like Al a cotton store, like a cotton clothing, like cotton shirts, cotton whatever, you know. I can't even remember the name of the store, but it was across from the food court. And we had this little band put together. You know, you named all the names, Kevin, Rick, and Alanis, and myself.
What year was this?
Oh, God. It was around 87, 88, 89 in there. And
so before US.
Yeah, before US. And I mean, I had recorded with One to One at that point, too.
Well, because she hit it big, early 90s. She hit it big.
She was huge in Canada. She was already a star in Canada, really. Like
at that time? You guys were performing at like the Talisman.
The Talisman, yeah. God.
I mean, I'm just trying to ring a bell here, you know.
Yeah. But let me get back to the name. So I'm working in this woman's clothing store, right? The agent phones me up. He's got, hey, I got some gigs where you got a name for the band. So I turn on the look outside and I see the Teriyaki Experience, New York Fries. And in my head, I'm going, Teriyaki Experience. No, it sounds like a Jimi Hendrix thing, you know. So I went, New York Fries, man.
New York
I stole
Fries.
the name from a restaurant.
It sounds like it.
And they had great fries, by the way. It was awesome.
You know, we're going to go with Chicago style pizza. That's going to be the name of the band.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. But it was one of those pressure moments like, oh, God, I got to come up with a name. Zoom.
Alabama Slammer.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So that's how we came up with that name. And we were all in different bands working out of the same studio. So she was working out of the studio with Leslie, who was the founder of One to One that I had done studio stuff with. And so he was working with her, doing her Canadian albums and stuff like that. And Rick was in another original band called In and Out at the time. And Kevin and I were in an original band called Big Life. And we put this band together just to make money on weekends, right? And Alanis at that time, we're working with Leslie. She was like a bebop dance Canadian artist, you know, like kind of like a Debbie Gibson, Tiffany type thing, you know.
Yeah.
So we'd go play on the weekends doing rock stuff like Atlanta Miles or whatever, and all this real rock stuff. And you know, Alanis would go in the studio on Monday, and Leslie would phone me going, "Damn it, she sounds like a rock singer. She's not singing like you know." So she'd be doing it on the weekend, and she'd go in on Monday, you know, start singing. And Leslie's like, "Okay, hold on a second. This is not what we're doing," you know. And she'd have to tone it down, and that was a fun band, man. That was a good time. That was a good time period for me, networking and meeting people and getting in that scene of signed artists. I mean, they were all signed. I was there, you know,
in the know.
Yeah, and playing with these people. Alanis was signed. I mean, she had a Canadian deal, and you know, funny. Then years later, after I'd left so I played with her for a couple of years. We had that little band, and then we broke up. New York Fries broke up. We all did our own things, and I joined US for that first time. And I left US, and I was playing in all these different bands. And Alanis comes up to me one day. I was playing at that club, Roxanne in Hall, and she come up to me at the end of a set. And she goes, but my nickname at that time was Zeke. She goes, "Zeke, I'm moving to LA. I want you to come with me." I'm like, "Alanis, you got money. I mean, you're a big star here in Canada. You've got gold and platinum albums here in Canada. You've got one. I can't just go to LA. The cost of living, I just can't go. She goes, oh, I really want you to go. And I said, yeah, okay. And I said, I can't go. I can't do it.
Wow.
And
Man.
then years later,
Yeah.
Jagged Little. What's funny
90, 95, maybe 96.
90,
It's mid 90s. Yeah.
Was it 94? Okay.
Yeah, 94. Because I'll tell you, I was working with Les. He had a CD cassette manufacturing company, and I was working there as well as playing music every night. I was working at the CD cassette manufacturing company. Her CD came in, right? He didn't even open up the cellophane wrap on the CD, and that CD sat on his desk for about a week and a half. And one day after work, I just, I looked at the CD and I went, I'm going to take this home and listen to it. I took it home, and this is before it's released.
Mm-hmm.
Before the Monster and the Machine took off.
Yeah.
I remember I put it on. I'm listening to it going.
Yeah.
And I took it.
How many number ones were on? I mean, there was a bunch of number ones on there, man. I mean, Ironic.
Every song. Almost every song of that album was,
Yeah.
And it's funny. I remember talking to her about getting the deal and all that stuff afterwards. But anyway, so I took the CD and I put it back in the case. I couldn't put cellophane on it, so I took it back I put it on Leslie's desk. I said, "Hey, Bud," Leslie, we called him Bud. I said, "Man, you might want to take that home and listen to it." I said, "That is a pretty awesome effing CD." He's like, "Yeah, whatever." Didn't even care. Didn't even care. And I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden it took off, and we were still friends at the time. I mean, she'd be in Toronto and I'd go down to Toronto. We'd hang out and do stuff. And I remember when she broke up with Dave Coulier, I had just broken up with somebody and we were both miserable. So I drove over to her place in Toronto. I was visiting my dad in Toronto, and I called her up and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, miserable." And I'm like, "Well, I'm miserable too." So I went over to her place, picked her up, and we went to a donut shop. Got a dozen donuts between us. And then we rented Purple Rain, went back to her apartment, watched Purple Rain, down these donuts, and commiserated with each other about our relationships and how wrong it was breaking up and all this stuff. So that was it. She was a real cool, down to earth person, and it really hurt me a lot. She was a friend before we played music together, before we hung out. She was kind of, we were friend. We became friends in this production of all these bands. We were together, and so when that album came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's a man-hater. She's this and she's that," and I was like, No. I'll tell you a good story about Alanis. We went to this really nice restaurant one night, her and I, and it's one of those things where we walk in and she's a star, so everyone's like pointing and go,
sure, yeah.
They're not pointing at me, like they're pointing at her. So we sit down at the table, and it's just two-person table. Order our food and stuff, and our food's coming in on, but before it even comes, just like a shelving thing behind her with all these water bottles stacked and everything. Well, the waiter comes by, knocks the shelf down, water bottles everywhere, and she wasn't a prima donna. You know what that woman did? She got up and helped the waiter clean it up.
Yeah, helped the waiter.
Okay?
Awesome.
Meanwhile, everyone else in the place is going. I was even sitting there going, "God, you're a star, but you're still a human being at the same time."
Sure,
right.
And it humbled me. Like, I was like going, "Yeah, she doesn't have to do this," but she got up, helped him. He's like, "I'm so sorry." "Oh, don't worry about it." And she's picking up stuff and cleaning. And I was like, golly.
Awesome that she didn't lose that,
Right. And she was so like I said, it's still kind of people give their opinions of her and say, "Oh, Alanis is this and Alanis is that." I'm like going, "You don't know Alanis. She is so much fun. Like she's like one of the guys.
Yeah.
Like seriously, she was. Here's some. I'm going to give you two little stories about Alanis Morissette and Richie Wright. And one story is we did go to a drive-in one night together, and I don't know if you remember the line in her song. You ought to know it. And would she go down on you in a theater? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Right. So we're at that drive-in that night, right? And I accidentally spilled popcorn in my lap, like because she was reaching over and then it's spilling.
Was it an accident or?
Yeah, it was an accident. Honestly, it was honestly an accident. And I remember saying to her, "Well, you got to clean that up." And she leaned over and started getting the popcorn with her mouth. I was like, so when I heard that line in the song, even when I hear it today, I go, you know, kind of one of those funny moment things, like, oh my God, like probably not thinking about me. I'm pretty sure she did that with Dave or whatever. And then another story I have that is kind of, nah, I'm not going to go there. Well, okay. It's not as great a story, but when that album took off and she went on tour and she had Taylor Hawkins on drums, she had all these great musicians in that band.
Yeah, I didn't know he played with her.
Yeah, he was the drum on the very first tours with her, like on the Jagged Little Pill album. Okay. And so anyway, I never saw the tour. Because I was busy working. I never got a chance to see it. So I rented the concert video 2 years later. And in the video of the concert, Alanis concert, she does a drum solo with Taylor Hawkins. Right?
Uh-huh.
We did that in New York Fries.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Okay. So she may not have done it consciously, or it may have been a subconscious thing, but I took it as a compliment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That you learned something from me when we were playing at that time to entertain. And that's what we did. Like, oh, we'll do this little jump solo thing. You pick up sticks and you come over and, and when I was watching the show, I'm watching the concert video, song after song after song. And in the middle of this one song, I see her pick up some sticks and get it on the drums with him. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
You learned something from old Zeke.
Do you talk to her anymore? I mean,
well, we kept up until about, I want to say about a month before my oldest son was born. We had each other's numbers when we would text, or not text. We'd actually email at that time. But I don't know if you guys remember when Paris Hilton's phone got hacked. Everybody in Hollywood had to change everything.
Yeah. Change
their emails, change their phone numbers. That's when I lost contact with her. Like that was last time, but about a month before Brennan was born. Which was the last time we talked. And he's 16 now. So, but I was joking with my wife. I said, if she ever comes to Atlanta, we're going to go to the show. I'm going to bring my New York Fries poster. And I'm going to walk right up to the front. Remember me?
I'm sure she would get a kick out of that, man.
So
I saw a live show with her. Maybe it's, I don't know, a year or two ago or something like that, and it was still real good, man. It was in a theater type atmosphere, and I mean they killed it. It was
amazing,
very unique,
amazing voice. Just, you want to talk about power.
Yeah.
You didn't have to put her gain up a lot on that board, trust me. I mean, she could belt it when she needed to, and she just just amazing. Her idol is Olivia Newton-John. Did you know that?
Gotcha. Okay,
so it's funny. I was hearing Olivia Newton-John sing lately. I could hear the inflections. I was like going,
kind of get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was her idol. It was, Olivia Newton-John. And you can hear it in her voice sometimes. If you really pay attention and you know anything about Olivia Newton-John and her inflections and how she sings, you can hear it in Alanis.
Uh-huh. And when you were saying Dave earlier, I was trying to look that up. That was
Uncle
she was
Joey
married to the
Full
guy,
House.
Uncle Joey. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Dave Coulier. That was interesting.
Are they still married? I don't know nothing about her.
They were never married. They broke up.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Remember I told you the story about the donuts and all that stuff?
Uh-huh.
She had just broken up with Dave.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I had just broken up with somebody at that time, and I was at the Smears Roll. She was Smears Roll, so we went and did Homer Simpson, like box of donuts and drank herself and watched Prince's Purple Rain. It's like, and but anyway, Dave, that was just an interesting relationship. And Dave could fly himself. He had a private pilot's license, and he had his own little private plane, like not a jet, but a plane. And he would actually fly over and fly into Ottawa's airport and come visit and stuff like that. It's just,
he was on Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey's sidekick.
Yeah.
And he was just interesting to me. I just didn't see it. Seem like
they do seem like a weird match.
It was, but I'll tell you what. She has an amazing sense of humor, so I could see it. He's a funny guy. She loves a sense of humor. She's just so I could but physically, just everything else.
Yeah. Looking at her and looking at him, he outkicked his coverage. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, really? And he had already been married. I mean, he had kids. I mean, he'd bring the kids up a couple times, but just didn't seem right. And when it ended, it's like, oh, maybe there's a shot for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, all right. So, and let's cut to the chase. And we can edit this if we need to. But did you guys date? I mean, I can smell it.
No.
Okay.
I get. It's funny. My guys probably put you up to this. They put you up to that question because they bug me about this all the time, and I'll tell you what.
He was dating. Look, and I'm using dating very loosely here. I'm trying to be as PG as I can.
No, and I'm telling you, my guys put you up to that because they bug me about this all the time. And I've told them this. I said, even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Because I look like a fool because Jesus up here and I'm down here.
You never know who could watch this thing or where it could go.
Exactly.
Somebody's a friend that tags her and says, "You got to see this. This guy told all." Yeah, I get it.
No, and no, we were just really good friends, and I can't say that it didn't cross my mind.
Sure.
And I can't speak for her. I can't say that she made it thought, Zeke's funny. Zeke can tell a joke.
Oh, if things would have went different in a lot of different ways, man. I mean, you were asked to go to LA. That's kind of crazy. There's a lot of things that could have.
Yeah, but the flip side, I'm going to tell you right now, the flip side of that, I wouldn't have the two amazing sons that I have, and I wouldn't have had the amazing wife I have now, and the amazing stepkids I have now. You know what I mean? There is
everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, things happen for a reason, and I'm not upset about it. It doesn't bug me. I don't regret anything.
Man, all roads, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, lead to where we are right now.
Yeah.
So,
even my wife asked me that at dinner tonight. You regret? And I said, no, I don't regret it, not going to LA.
Oh, y'all were talking about some of these scenarios of conversation that might come up in this.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I would have did the same thing.
So that's why I said to you, I hope you've done some homework. There's a lot of stuff on my, like, I've done a lot of things with a lot of people. Like even my singer from Big Life, he went on to when Tommy was big at the time, the opera, Tommy the Opera, and
oh yeah,
theaters, like the active theater stuff they were doing. Tylee, my singer at that time from Big Life, went on an audition down in Toronto, and he got the part. Pete Townsend said, "I want you to be, Tommy," and so that was his big break. And then he went on to Broadway. He's been in Jersey Boys. He's been on all this stuff. I mean, he's done great things too. So I've been blessed with it. Tylee and Alanis, these great singers, they've gone on and done stuff like huge, so but I don't regret anything.
Oh no. You can't. You gotta, and
like I said, I wouldn't have
anybody.
Amazing family, amazing sons I have. I just, it's funny. I don't even regret my first marriage.
Yeah.
No.
I don't regret it.
You learn from it. Yeah.
You learn from it. And I got these two amazing boys out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That are my world, like I love those guys to death. I mean, it breaks my heart that I don't see them every day, but I still text them every day. I text them good morning. Let them know that their dad loves them.
That's awesome.
So, but no regrets.
Absolutely.
Like RAGRET, regrets. No regrets.
Regrets.
Yeah, regrets. No regrets. It's all fun. It was a good time period, man. It was a lot of fun. I was young and I just had a good time.
Yeah.
And it you got to do that. Kids will go to college and have a good time for 4 years. I went and did. I was in a recording scene with signed people for 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? So, and had a really good time.
You was learning some stuff that you could have never even touched on in school for 4 years.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories. I'm sure we'll end this interview tonight at some point, like 3 a.m. or whatever, and I'll go to bed. I'll be like lying there going, "Oh, I should have told him. I should have told this story. I should have done it."
Oh man, we as fun as this has been so far, I'm sure we'll be doing this again pretty soon. So you can always jot it down for the next time.
Yeah, I don't know about that. My writing skills are. I play drums. These hands are decrepit.
And okay, so and just moving forward, you what made you come back in 96?
Like you're about to pass out.
Oh no. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember because sometimes you'll be talking and I'm like, man, there's something I want to say right there, and then my mind will shift to whatever next, and I'm like, I forgot what it even was. It was really good. I was going to come in with.
It's like the Two Ronnies. You know how you ever see the Two Ronnies? It's a comedic show.
I don't think I've seen that.
You would tell a story, but the story would go off on this direction, and you're like, that's what I'm doing now, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it does, dude. There's so much here, and there's so much I want to dive into, but I'm trying to hit the really good stuff, or trying to get you to remember things to where you can maybe go to town, and you have. I mean, you've been killing it.
You want to know about coming back to US?
Yeah, and coming back in 96. What What happened to Mr. Bones and then made you say, you know what, I need to go back and make some money?
Well, how do I say that?
Because Mr. Bones, you left because it was like, man, this is going to be killer. This is original.
Yeah,
It's got some awesome blah, 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 and Glenn and that whole thing.
But sometimes the grass isn't always greener.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Mr. Bones was a big learning experience of, I was playing with a bunch of bands at that time too. So Mr. Bones was my main band. Glenn and I were doing Bam Bam Ritual to make money. And I was playing with Batstone. I was playing with, oh God, a few other things, and Skin and this, that. But Mr. Bones was the main thing at that time. And there was some, I don't want to say friction, more too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Like, I know my role. Even in US, there's certain nights where Kelly needs my help. I'll help call the audible, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And then in Mr. Bones, we had a meeting one night. We were doing showcases for record companies and stuff, and we done a showcase one night, and the next night we were getting together at our rehearsal hall, and one of the guys in the band that I wouldn't even, I don't care for, starts, well, we had a meeting last night, blah, 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 after the show. And I was sitting there going, I wasn't involved in the meeting. In my head, I go, what meeting are you talking about? And he starts leading in about Glenn and getting rid of Glenn, and he blew it at the showcase and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, what in the fuck is going on? Like, I had no idea what was going on. And that meeting that night was just bizarre. Like, I was like, going, we're doing good. We're a good band, we're doing all right. And then it just progressed. I finally phoned Leslie one day. He was in 1-to-1, and he was doing Alanis. And I said, but you know that all this stuff is going on? And he goes, oh, I don't know. I'll talk to da-da-da. I'm like, okay. It just progressively got worse and worse and worse, that I didn't even know my up from down. I didn't even know if I could play anymore. Mm-hmm. They beat me down. And I remember vividly, we were at this club called Grand Central in Ottawa. And back behind the stage was these payphones, a line of payphones. And I snapped that night. I had a nervous breakdown. I had a nervous breakdown after sound check. And I didn't know my up from down. I didn't know my left from right. And I remember going to the payphone, and I called my dad collect in Toronto. I needed someone to talk to. Mm-hmm. I was having a nervous breakdown. Like,
it was just too much, a culmination of way too much stress from these guys.
Yeah. And then I just didn't get it. I was just like, and I got on the phone with my dad. I'm telling him everything. And I was like, Dad, I don't know. I don't know if I can play anymore. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And he's my dad is cool. He's just like, it oozes cool. You know what I mean? You could ask the guys in the US. He just oozes cool, So I'm on the phone. I'm breaking down. I'm having to, he says to me, he goes, well, can you see yourself being happy with these guys with a record, stuck with these guys for 5 to 10 years with a record deal? I went, no.
There you go.
That was it. That's all he had to say. Like.
So even if it does go best case scenario, what you're trying to do, is it really where you want to be?
Is it worth it?
Do you want to be stuck with these guys in a record deal for 5 to 10 years and just be stuck with, I just went, no. I answered my own question.
Yeah.
I played that night, played my ass off, by the way.
It's probably a relief.
Yeah, you probably
load
felt
off
free.
your shoulders.
Yeah, knowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, and the next day I phoned Leslie again. I said, Leslie, I'm out. He's like, what? How how can you leave? Like, he got it. He understood. But at the same time, he was like a music god in Ottawa. Like, Alanis, 1-to-1. I mean, every record deals and Mr. Bones, you're going to just leave it? Yes, for me, I got to leave it. So I left, and I think Glenn eventually left too. Like, he was like, I saw it. Richie be strong enough to leave. I'm going to leave. Because they beat him down. I felt so bad. Like, I was just like, I felt beat down. I can't imagine how he felt.
Sure.
I was just, so anyway, so we both left, and we were playing with Bam Bam Ritual. And one night, it's like December of 95, Kelly came out. We were playing at that club, Grand Central, with Bam Bam Ritual. Kelly came out, right? And he's in the crowd, and we were doing another band. We were a good little cover band. I'll toot my horn here. We were a good band. And Kelly saw the show. He's enjoying the show and all this stuff. And he came, oh, it's good to see you, US. Oh, that's great, man. And he calls me the next day, and he goes, hey, man, how would you feel about coming back to the US? I was like, what? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah. Well, I talked to Glenn. Glenn's cool about it, blah, 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 blah. And I said, when do we leave?
So by this time, they were already doing what? What was US doing at this point?
They'd already, like, when I was originally in them, we'd been down in the US. That's when we met the Pygmies, actually. We were playing at Spinnaker in 90 or 91. I can't remember. I think one of those dates. And they were playing at La Viva. And we went over and saw them, and they came over and saw us. And we were like, hey. And they were telling us at that time, oh, you got to do colleges. And we're like, yeah. And we were getting college numbers, but we didn't think anything of it. That wasn't even a circuit for us in Canada. So we didn't even think of it. And then I left the band, Glenn left the band. And then when I came back, US had already had an album out live at Leeds, I think, with Martin, who's an amazing drummer. Like, you went from me up, and then you went from Martin back down to me. Martin was amazing. Like, he was a phenomenal drummer. Still to this day, she's probably amazing. So anyway, yeah, we met the Velcro Pygmies the first time around, and they were telling us about colleges, and then US still hadn't done the college thing by the point that I came back. And that's when we decided in 96. I started back in January 96, like January 1st, pretty much. And there was like, okay, we're going to learn these songs. We're going to try and get into college. But it was like, took us 5-6 years to finally figure out to get into colleges, And so, yeah, I came back. We changed the set list. We were learning college-y type songs and doing the 80s thing. And we didn't really leave the 80s. We were playing 80s music in the 80s. So we just continued playing it, so nothing's changed for us there.
Was it more pop 80s than the metal rock 80s stuff at first? The only reason I say that, I remember seeing some early promos pictures of the band US in the early 90s, and they looked more poppy looking, maybe even wearing like glasses and something.
Yeah, we did stuff like it was just an image thing. That was just like, you're trying to attract people's attention. Like, oh,
because I saw some video somewhere on social media at some point of that, maybe the late 80s of when Kelly and or got with maybe Jeff or something, and it was right there, before coming down maybe, and they looked rocking, and then I saw the promo in the 90s, and it looked like, hold on, they look popish type rock.
No, that was more like to get a look. We did some poppy songs, but we were still doing some rock songs too. I mean, we were trying to, we all love the 80s. I mean, there's certain songs that you still go, you gonna change the dial? I'm not gonna. I'm okay with it if you are. Songs. So that's the way we were. But those promo pictures we did were just to attract attention.
Gotcha.
People are flipping through 8x10. All the bands have long hair, and then all of a sudden you go, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
This is different. They're doing the same songs, so it's just one of those things. You're just trying to get attention.
Trying to create a brand. Yeah.
Just create a buzz, a brand, anything. That's what we were trying to do. And so we changed the set list, and we weren't as we dropped the Winger, you dropped the you're picking up Tainted Love and Cars by Gary Newman, so you're not doing that strictly. When I was first in US, we did a whole set of Journey pretty much. I mean,
nice.
We did a ton of Whitesnake. We did a ton of Zeppelin. We did a ton of Def Leppard. I mean, we had a Def Leppard medley. I swear to God, it was so a set. I mean, it was just like that long. We were song to song to song, and like I said, our sound man at that time was so good. He was a part of the band. I mean, we were down. I mean, we had this Def Leppard thing down.
So you were doing a lot of voom voom ka, Def Leppard.
Yeah, I
love Def Leppard, by the way, but I love Def Leppard, but I'm just saying, one arm drummer.
He's got some interesting fills. I mean, you got to listen to him too.
Well, he uses that foot too for the snare too.
Well, it's funny. I saw a Def Leppard cover bit recently around Atlanta here, and in the tribute cover band, the drummer plays like that.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
He puts his arm behind his back and he's doing he's playing like this.
Hey, that's killer though, man. If you're gonna do a tribute, I mean, go all out.
Seriously,
the whole look, the whole
if you did the electronics like that.
Hey, Rob, if you're gonna go all out, get a skill saw.
Well, if you're going to be really dedicated, that's not as impressive as I thought.
J-Rob would need to fall off a mountain like Hank Jr. did.
Wait a minute, you haven't yet?
Yeah,
I've took some pretty nasty falls, but I hadn't actually fallen 500 feet from Ajax Mountain.
Okay,
so, Ajax Mountain, that was it. Yeah.
There's a little hill out back.
Yeah, I've tripped in a ditch a lot.
I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna video him falling off this hill.
Yeah, put it in the show, man.
I'm gonna put it on the screens.
I'm actually scared to fall from Ajax Mountain because I might turn out to be a 5-time entertainer of the year. So.
Whoa. Nice.
That was awesome.
Wow.
Okay. All right, so
timeline again.
Let me try to get back on track now.
Reel it back.
All right. So you get back with them, and what I don't know a whole lot of highlights there in the 90s. So was there anything that really stands out to you before the Vince Neil showing up in 2011? So I look, let's just go way back then. So 96 to when did some things change? I'm sure in that 14-year period.
Yeah, bass players.
Bass players.
Yeah. the song list a little bit? Maybe you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not even thinking, man. I'm sorry. So Chase Lexi was in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in there. We did an album with Chase around the end of. God, it would have been around 99, 2000. I think it was
That's
around that.
right.
We did a US album called
Launch.
Launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did that, recorded some of that in Jackson at Jeff's studio. And then we went to a studio in LA, did some stuff out there. So, yeah. But at that time period, too, we were putting our nose to the grindstone, just work. I mean,
Now, but hold on, was there not a stint where you guys came down or at some period in there tried to go to LA and try to do something before that album? Did y'all was there not something that
they did when I left the band. They went out
okay.
to they did some stuff for the Live at Leeds album was done out there.
Okay.
With trying to remember Guy Charbonneau, who worked with Pat Benatar and stuff. Rush. I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff. He's they did stuff with him out there when I had left. And then I came back. I mean, it was just change the set list, work to the grindstone, and we put that album together. And again, just work.
Yeah. So they were trying to figure out where their niche was and where their future was going to be. And
Yeah.
let's try to plant some seeds. And then eventually it led to, we better get in this college scene thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took a long time when you really think about it. We were getting college numbers back in 91 when we were playing in Key West. I mean, for spring break and that. And we're like, a stack of numbers. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to call this kid and get a gig. Yeah, okay. We were stupid. Like, let's be honest. I mean, we didn't even know there was a market there. And then Pygmies were telling us, guys, you got to do this. You got to, okay. You do your thing. We're going to do our thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're both doing really well. We're still here.
Have been for a long time.
I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, if you put the years together,
combined,
both bands combined,
oh, I know.
members, everything, you got a couple of centuries of
badassery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of kicking ass and making a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of history there.
It really is, and it's astounding, what you guys have.
The cool thing is we're friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands like ours that would be like, oh, we're gonna get screw them, we're gonna do this thing.
Sure.
No, man, we help each other out. You know what I mean?
It'd be hard to be in a band that long, man. And I mean, because you're with your bandmates more than your family. I mean,
oh yeah,
spending that much time with each other, you know each other like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, with having that kind of respect from the longevity, you're bound to be pretty tight.
Yeah. Know? It's funny. I tell people this time, if you stay in a band this long with 5 guys, you should be able to last a marriage with one person.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I say this, and I've been divorced. Well,
me too.
But I mean, if you can do it with 5 guys and egos, and especially the ego part.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you're expected to have that ego on stage, and you should have an ego on stage. When you come off, you need to be able to turn it off. I mean, and that's hard to do for some people.
My thing is, you should have an ego walking into the building.
Mm-hmm.
We're the band.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, and when we're done, you enjoy us, I'll be a human being. That's what people love about us. We talk to people. We're out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're a people person band. And like I said, I keep people away at first. You know, kind of like, okay, you get in my circle, you're lucky.
Heck yeah. No, and I get it. I totally get it on that. So what year did Chase Lexi come in? I'm sorry.
I
know
think
I'm
he came in 90. Okay, I came back in 96. We had Jeff, then Doug, and then Corey, and then Mark. Oh God, I want to say 99, maybe before the launch CD. That's so gray to me now.
I'm sure. I'm
You
sure.
know,
I'm
that's
sure.
so far away. Like,
So that was before that album.
yeah,
He was a part of that.
he was part of the album.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And how hard was that, the album? Just I mean, I know we can make it quick. You know, how hard was that to try to sell that, doing what y'all were doing in the college market and all that kind of stuff?
It was
More of a
our
getting your rocks
plan.
off kind of thing, or
It was rock. I mean, there's like rock song. It was
yeah,
rock. I mean, Damon Johnson gave us a couple songs to put on that album, and we did a Alice Cooper song on that album. We did an ABBA song on that, but we rocked it, you know. And
yeah,
I mean, it was our marketing scheme at that time was we're going to give some stuff away for free. So we
yeah,
made out of that album, which took 3 songs, put it on a CD. We gave those out at every show before we brought the CD and to sell, you know.
yeah.
So you give it away at first. You're making friends, and they're playing that song, and you're like, oh, the best part about it is when they come to the show and they request it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a song back then called "What You Do to My Body."
Yeah, I remember.
Still,
Yeah.
still to this day, we'll be playing somewhere, and someone will come up and go, "What you do to my body?" And you're going, "Oh my God, you know
Yeah.
that song?" You know, we don't even know that song anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, like we're like, how's that go again? I think I started. No, you started. I don't know.
I think I would have a hard time with some of them ones we released, you know. I really
Yeah.
do.
And so and then it was hard to sell. It's hard to sell it to college kids.
Yeah.
They got $10 in their pocket. Okay, I can spend $10 on beer,
Yeah.
$10 on a CD, you know.
Right.
And if you're a college kid, what would you do?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm going to spend the $10 on beer, you know.
Uh-huh.
And that CD is going to be the coaster. You know?
Yeah. Right.
Actually, I got a few US coasters. No,
what, so Chase, what year, let's see. So I remember him, he left you guys, something happened there, and then he ended up joining some other bands there before he passed. But,
Chase didn't leave the band, and we never fired Chase. If that makes any sense to you. Chase had a problem,
mhm.
and we were keeping it in house, and we're trying
Yeah.
to,
I've had the same thing happen to me. So,
right. So at some point, it was kind of like, okay, enough. We can't do it. We were dreaded getting to work every week. You know, it's like, oh, fuck, I gotta go work with this guy. You know, it's like,
yeah.
So we arranged an intervention with his parents and him. Before we did that, we said,
Dude, that's love though, man. I never did
really.
that. I did have a talk with one of them's mother and basically, I'm sorry, this ain't about me, but I'm just relating there.
Yeah, no, dude, it's okay. Before we did the intervention, we'd already said, hey, take a few weeks off, get yourself straight, or else you're not going to be in this. We're going to let you go. And then we arranged the intervention with his parents. We were on the road. We picked up a bass player to come play with us at that time to fill in till Chase got better to come back. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I feel bad. That bass player had to go sit in the back of the bus because we were on the road. We arranged this intervention with Chase and his parents in the bus on the side of the road somewhere in Georgia. And they came, they got on the bus, and his parents had no idea. And that was hard because you're trying to get them on your page. And they were like, what the hell? And he's getting all upset and da, da, da. It was really hard. And we're on our way to a gig. I mean, we're parked on the side of the road in Georgia trying to do this intervention. And his parents got on board eventually. And I mean, he had stuff with him on the bus. He came on the bus. He goes, I got this. You can't stop me here. And you're like going, oh, man, he's blowing it here. And so for a while there, it looked like it was going to work. And you stay and living with his parents and just then you get back into the scene, you know. The music scene's not a good scene for addicts.
No.
You know, and he came back to the scene and we were playing and he came out to a show to watch and he was
yeah,
you know, and it's hard to say, but it's almost like you could breathe again. You know, when that monkey's lifted off your back and you enjoy life again. You know, I mean, so
yeah, meaning the secret's out now. Is that like all of a sudden like a
kind of like that? Because everybody's going, why isn't Chase playing with US? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so you got that going on. You're trying to explain it. Here's the thing about love in our band. We had for the longest time, 2, maybe not 3 months, we still paid him.
Wow.
Okay. We didn't have to.
Yeah.
We did not have to pay him. We were trying to help a brother out. Yeah. We were trying to help a brother out, get well, make sure he could still pay his bill while he's getting well. And it's almost like you feel used. And I would do it again. I'm not saying I would do it again for a guy in our band that's having an addiction problem and he needs help and needs time off. He's been part of your family. You know, you know that, and it was hard to when we finally said, enough, you're done, and we're cutting you off.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing anything. You're not helping yourself. And then he played with these other bands, and those other bands were using it as, oh, Chase Sexy from US is playing with da da da. And it's kind of like, really, guys, are you going to do that? You're going to put him in, you know, in this. So anyway, one thing led to another, and his girlfriend at the time died, and then he was next. I remember saying to Kelly at one point, long before his girlfriend died, I called him one day and I said, man, one of those, you're going to call me one day and say one of those two is dead. And sure enough, I got that call one day, you know, Ace's girlfriend, da, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and then you get the call, you know, he died. And you're like, I can't say I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I know.
And
it's such a shame too, because you know the talent there too. I mean, you know, and the I mean, he looked like a rock star. He was the talent. I mean, everything. You know.
Here's the thing: when Chase was sober, he could play the bass like a monster, man. He was great. I never got to play with that bass player. that resonate a little? I never got to play with that great bass player.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I hate to be cold about it and callous. I didn't take it as hard as some of the other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the asshole Richie or.
It's real is what it is. If you've already prepared your mind because you knew it was headed down a certain road, that was the way I was. You know when it's not good, and you're not going to sit there and live in Walt Disney World and completely ignore when something is the truth. And that,
Yeah, but
hopefully people will learn a lesson from
Yeah.
it instead of, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't say that and hey, you need to get with what's real or you're going to be in trouble too.
Yeah. And even at the funeral, I people were upset, and I was just, he's in a better spot probably for Chase. Like I can't imagine living a life like that and not. He had demons. Let's call a spade a spade. He had some demons, and they caught up to him. And I saw it coming, and I remember trying to warn the other guys, and it's almost like they ignored it at first. The other guys in the band, because but money was good. The band is hot. It's like, and I was just caught up in it too. And I was like, okay, I'll be miserable, but okay. And then I don't remember how many years it was, but finally, it was affecting the other guys. It was like that I kind of went, okay, enough. We're all going to quit. But and then, like I say, I didn't take it as hard as some of the other guys in the band, and I'm sure they'll say I'm cold and callous and an asshole for it, but
Well, we've all had our things that were, because none of us are perfect, right? None of us are perfect. And I'm not ever one to just necessarily throw stones at somebody. But if you love somebody, you're going to hold them accountable. And I hope somebody loves me enough to, when I don't do right, to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
If it's something that's detrimental to me or my life, to hold me accountable and say, hey, man, you need some help, man, or this ain't gonna work. You got to fix it, whatever, And some people take it like, and I think that's something I'm sorry, we're getting on politics, but I think that's something that's really hurting in this country right now is accountability. Nobody's wanting to hold anybody accountable no more. And you're the bad guy when you do hold somebody accountable. That's the reason everything's just going to shit is because, we got to start holding each other accountable. That's what you do when you love somebody. If you don't give a shit about them,
Yeah. And what kills me too is as a band, we took a lot of heat and a lot of flack, and people don't know the stuff that we did for him.
Yeah.
When you tell them, yeah, we paid him for 3 months. What?
You had an intervention on the bus, man. I was blown away. I didn't know that. Happened.
Yeah, we had an intervention. We're on the road and made it a detour, met with his family and him. I mean, it's just like people, we took a lot of heat and a lot of fact. And another thing too, we didn't tell people our in-house problems or what we were doing to fix it. But when people start attacking you and say, oh, you left him, you didn't help him at all, and we're going, we paid the mother. Like we had an intervention. We helped. We tried.
We all went. It sounds like pretty far. Past what maybe you had to do. Obviously, especially with that paying him thing.
You tell me
to try to help him. But if he's not going to help himself, what more can you do for somebody?
Right.
I mean,
And look, this ain't downing anybody. This ain't downing anybody. This is hopefully we can learn a lesson from, and people can learn a lesson, and people can learn from this. So there's no more tragedies like this. You know, if you're in a bad place, look at it. There's people that's been in your shoes before, people, you know. I mean,
you're not alone.
I've had two band members die from drugs, you know, after the fact, you know, after being in the band, you know, had to let them go because of those things, you know. But you do all you can to try to help them, you know.
Yes.
And hopefully people will look at these lives, and it won't just be that death won't be for nothing. It'll be to learn something from it, you know.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things, man. You just, like you said, you got to learn from it.
And after he left, that's when Joey came.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Joey was the kind of the replacement for Chase until Chase could come back. And when we realized Chase wasn't coming back, Joey knew the show. It was easy. Boom, you're in the band. You know.
And Joey had been, I think, with Full Moon Circus or something before all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I, you know, and I know Joey real well, you know, and talk to him just periodically, you know, once in a blue moon kind of thing. But I know he's a strong personality, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, but he had a pretty long stint with y'all.
Yeah, he was in the band for a good while there.
Yeah. And that was when you guys played with Vince Neil at Iron Horse in Birmingham.
Yeah. That was kind of funny. That's a funny story to be honest with you, because that day they're setting up the bar for Vince Neil, a little couches section for him, VIP thing.
Oh, so it was known he was coming that day. Yeah. Was the Motley Crue, or was his band, the Vince Neil band, playing in town?
Motley Crue was playing at the Normal Dome or whatever it's called over there, and
the Birmingham Civic Center.
Oh, the outdoor one there.
The amphitheater.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Bancorp South Center. Yeah, I'm with you. The
okay.
Bancorp, amphitheater. And
so they're setting up, these couches and VIP section for
so they knew he was coming. Okay.
Yeah, the club paid for him to come.
Okay.
It was a big deal. And while we're setting up and all that stuff, his handler or his manager or whatever the guy is comes up and goes, okay, Vince doesn't get up on stage with any band at all. Don't even ask him. Don't even ask.
He's thinking if they suck at all,
He's like, no, he never gets up on stage with any bands at all at these things. And we're like, oh, okay, Kelly are looking at each other like, oh, okay, whatever. We don't care at this point. We're like, we've seen enough. We've played with enough people. This is nothing to us.
Well, you are there to do your gig any damn way. I mean,
right. So,
but the fact he's going to be there, I mean, you're able to promo the hell out of that.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, so we get up, we start doing our show, and next thing his entourage comes in. There's Vince Neil, and he's got like two blondes on each arm. They're taller than him with boobs out here. And he comes in, he sits down, and he's watching the band. People are like, we're doing our thing, and at that point we were playing in our set list at that time. We had girls or something like that. Right. So we're not ones in the US to kind of just cower or whatever. We'll face the machine if we have to.
Yeah.
And so Kelly turns to me and he looks at me, and I'm going, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. He calls out girls, 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 right?
Uh-huh.
And we're like, oh, okay, here we go. We're gonna do it. We did girls, 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 right? We finished the song.
Oh, so he didn't come up there during that
No,
one.
no. We didn't even invite him. We didn't even just like his handler said, don't invite him to you did.
Could you see him from the stage, or was
he? I could see him.
I would have looked at him and been like, yeah. I wouldn't have said nothing, but just,
No, we didn't even do that. We just did the song. Like, you know what? You're not gonna, whatever. We don't care. We're gonna do your song. We're gonna do your song. And we did the song, and then we went into the next song. And in the solo, I could see the handler coming to the side of the stage, and he's flagging Kelly down, right? Flagging Kelly down. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. So Jeff's doing his solo. This guy's flagging Kelly down. He's yelling something in Kelly's ear. And Kelly's like, yeah. So we finished that song, and Kelly goes, okay, well, we're gonna, we got a guest that's gonna come on stage with us now. Vince thought it was so cool that we did Girls, Girls, Good, and had the balls to do it in front of him. And he liked the band enough that he wanted to come on our stage.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't us asking him.
That's awesome, dude.
We didn't ask him at all. It was his guy coming up to Vince wants to come up to do a song with you guys. So Kelly's like, oh, we got a VIP, blah, blah. And he invites Vince on the stage, and Vince jumps up on the stage, and I'm like, we played our only Motley Crue song we know, and that we do.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't hear what they're talking about. The song to do. So then finally, Kelly looks at me and he goes, rock and roll.
Kiss. Yeah.
No.
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought it was rock and roll all night. All right.
In my head, I'm going, before I even started, and they call it rock and roll. In my head, I'm going, this motherfucker.
This is going to be horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Vince is, he's not the greatest. Yeah.
So I start to we go into the song. That mother sang the song like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Wow.
He killed it. Like
nice.
he sang it, man. I was like, it fired you up. You're playing going, oh my God, okay, all right, we're in this, and he sang. I was blown away because I heard these horror stories. You hear them on YouTube too, like he
shits on them. Yeah.
And then that night, I mean, he sang it, man. He did it. He did it really well.
That's awesome.
I was blown away. I was like, okay, goddamn.
And a lot of times when those guys are away for a long time and then they come back, like when I saw him on the Carnival of Sins tour, I went and watched it. He was killing. He was on, but they say after they're doing, 2 or 3, 4 years straight and all that, whatever, it's like, then it just goes to, just getting through the show kind of thing.
Dude, I was pleasantly surprised. I was blown away. That was like a highlight that night. I was like, yeah, wow, Vince.
Wow. So that's the only song he did?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it stole the show. I mean, and he was so good, and we got into it. I mean, we were like, oh yeah. And we should have just ended the night.
Yeah, there's no way to get any
and top it.
No.
Yeah. End the night. Vince killed it. Jesse's girl. It just doesn't work.
People are walking out.
Yeah, I'm just. We didn't do Jesse's girl, but it was just one of those things. Like, man, we should just end this mother right now.
Yeah,
had to take a little air out of the rest of the set for sure.
Yeah. It's just like, wow.
So did he just go back over there and sit back down and chill?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, chill. His bitches, you know.
oh my gosh, man, that
Yeah,
is wild, dude.
he
So they had just got done with the show, and
yeah.
he came over to the Iron Horse afterwards and just
Now put that in your head for a second and think about it. He had just done a show,
uh-huh.
comes over to our show, does rock and roll really well.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Really is.
Yeah.
Because he sings all their songs. I mean, that whole show, he's singing every one of them.
If I had done 2 hours of singing Motley Crue songs, there's no way I could go to a club and sing a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah. Nice.
He did.
Nice.
And he killed it. I mean, I think he was sober too, to be honest with you. He seemed.
I've seen pictures from that night, and he looked good.
Yeah, he looked good, and he acted coherent. You know what I mean? He seemed so. It's kind of like it's just on one of his dry periods, or
yeah.
Because those guys fall off. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, especially Motley freaking Crue. I mean, they've been notorious for being over the top. Well, so all right. Now, tell us about you meeting your wife, Rachel.
Yeah.
And how all of that, the magic happened, and I want you to tell us, if you don't mind, how hard it is juggling all of this with a family, and
Rachel and I actually met when I was first in the band US, and she was on her spring break in 1991.
Okay, I was confused by that because I saw that, and then earlier you was telling me how it all worked out, and I was like, hold on, that I saw 91.
Yeah, so she was on her spring break. US, we were playing down in Key West, and it was one of those instances where, I'm young, I'm partying my ass off every night, I'm drinking, I'm playing, I could do this, And I remember playing, and I looked at you scour a crowd, you're playing, it's just faces, it's just a sea of faces, right? Just and I'm playing, and I'm looking on, it's like this light just went over this girl. It could have been the Jaeger, I don't know. Anyway, but to me, and every time I looked over there and she'd look at me, I would look away. And I'm in the band.
You're a rock star. What's got you nervous?
I should be able to do this. And I'm like, who is this girl? She kept drawing my attention as I'm playing. So I figured, on the break, I'll go find her and I'll talk to her. So we were playing upstairs at Rick's there, and Dirty Harry's was downstairs towards the back. So we finished our set, and I come off stage, and I'm looking around for her, and I can't find her, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I got to find this girl. So I go downstairs, and I go into Dirty Harry's, and I look across the bar, and she's talking to these 2 oak trees, and I'm like going, there's no way I'm walking over there right now. These guys were huge. Like, I'm talking NFL linebacker, and it turns out they were Georgia Tech football players at the time. But I walked in and I looked and I went, yeah, I'm out of this picture. So I gave up. I went back on stage for the next set. And this was the funny part. So her and her friends come back upstairs, and they're watching the show, and I looked over and I was like, holy crap, she's back, and I kept looking at her, and finally we made eye contact, and like I said, she was like, stood out like big time. I mean, just so this is the funny part about it. My opening line to Rachel, I'm on stage playing. I didn't have a mic at this time. Remember I told you the story?
Yeah.
First time I was in US, they didn't
91, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know I could sing. So I didn't even have a mic, and we were playing on stage. It was a big professional show at this time. It was, I told the outfits and everything. So this is the joke about my opening line. I remember being on stage, and we finished the song, and I looked at her, and I went, "Do you want a beer?" that was my, like, I'm on stage. "Do you want a beer?" And she looked at me and she went, "She's a college girl." Yes. I want a free beer. So Shane, our keyboard player, starts playing "Don't Stop Believing." Right? I don't have to play, so I get.
Yeah.
He starts playing the song. I get up from behind the drums. Kelly has started singing. I grab a beer out of our cooler that we had on stage, open it, and I go beside Kelly. He's singing the song. I'm handing this beer to this girl, and Kelly's like, "Small town girl,
like, what are you doing?
what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like,
I'm getting her a beer.
Yeah. So I gave her beer, and I'm trying to how I remember how it all worked out, but we ended up talking that night. We hung out and we talked for a while, and then I got changed, and then we ended up going to the beach that night after the show and hanging out. And the funny part, this is all pre-cell phones. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We don't know how we figured this how it out. On my night off that week, I asked her, I said, "Do you want to go on a date like this? Could go out for dinner?"
Uh-huh.
And she was college girl, yeah. Me, poor musician, had to go get an advance.
Yeah.
And so I got an advance, and I remember, I don't know how we did it, because it was like I said, pre-cell phones. We hooked up and we met and went to this restaurant, Margaritaville in Key West. And I can remember getting the menu and just like looking at the menu, looking at the prices, like just
I'm
like,
gonna do this.
yeah,
just
how
order
I know I got an advance and everything.
Glass of water and a toothpick.
Yeah, pretty much. You got breadsticks?
Yeah.
But like I said, and we made it through the night, and I still don't know how we did this, like, because I don't remember being in a phone at the band house, and I don't. She was staying at a condo with a bunch of friends. I don't know how we all worked it out to meet somewhere and go. Anyway, we did, and fast forward, she graduated. I remember going to her graduation at Georgia Tech. She's Rachel's an aerospace engineer grad.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
She's
yeah, she's a rocket scientist.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah. I think I'm an experiment sometimes. But anyway. So fast forward, we're dating and stuff like that, and she graduates, and I was busy. We didn't have a lot of time together. So we split up. She went, got married, and I went and eventually met somebody and got married, and then we both got divorced at the same time, which was kind of weird. And I don't know how we got in contact. And I'd always kept up with her family and stuff like that, but not with her.
Uh-huh.
And I knew she had got her dream job. She worked at NASA for 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's what she wanted. She wanted to be an astronaut originally, but she ended up training on shuttle missions. She would train the astronauts what to do. Like they have these underwater tanks with the actual shuttle thing.
Yeah.
We go down and train them. This is what you got to do. Da, 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 da. I mean, she worked at NASA. She was doing her dream job.
Dude, that's dreamland stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
And so it's pretty, we got some stuff around the house that's pretty cool. So she went off, she got married, and came back to Atlanta, and she had 2 kids. I had 2 kids in my first marriage, and we ended up hooking up again. It's like
what year was that? What year was that when y'all got back together?
Oh gosh,
I'm gonna get you in trouble.
2010.
2010.
Yeah, and then we ended up getting married in 2011. So we've been married 10 years now, but we've known each other for 30 something years, and so it's not easy. It would have been easy if it was your first marriage and your 2 kids and but it's both our second marriage. I got kids in Mississippi. We had the kids here in Atlanta, and she can't really get over there because of her job. I can travel from what I do for a living, so my visitation schedule is bizarre as well with my kids.
Sure.
But it is not easy. It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it real.
It's not. I mean, it's I've been there. It's a hard thing, but it's also an American dream kind of life. And no job is, and no life is easy. I mean, you choose your hard, if that makes sense. And it's pretty cool also to bring the family to some shows where they can come and that, hey, that's my dad.
Like the fair.
Yeah.
There was one time that my dad and my stepmom came down, and they were down for a couple of weeks. It was during the time that we were playing the fair.
Uh-huh.
So my dad maybe seen me play once before that, So they came to the fair, and I had both my boys there. Rachel was there. I mean, it was just the emotion.
Rock star there.
Yeah, but I can remember the emotions being overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
You got your kids, who are coherent at this time. They know what dad's doing.
Uh-huh.
And my dad's there, who
yeah,
you want that respect from. You want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember we finished the show, and it hit me. I'm walking off stage, bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
Just the emotions overwhelm you, man. It's just like, holy crap. It hit me. And I had that ugly crying face, and I was trying to keep my head down, my hair. And I remember looking up, and I saw Rachel sitting in the seats behind the stage there. And I just because everything's there. Everything's there. Full circle,
What year was this again?
Oh, it was one of the fair times we played. I don't even remember.
Me and Courtney may have been there. We came and saw you guys there. And that was just, I was like, oh my God, man. I mean, this is like playing freaking, this is like being Tim McGraw playing some huge, I mean, this is unreal.
And we were on that night too. We were on. I remember like it was one of those nights. It was just on. I don't know. I was playing because I knew he was there. My kids were there, and my wife was there, and but it was funny. I just hit that last note. I jumped off the riser, and it just like, I just started crying, and I still had an encore to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I came off stage and I ran into the dressing room. And after I looked up and I saw Rachel, I just ran to the dressing room, got a towel, and I'm trying to get myself together.
J-Rob, this stage is so big. They actually have risers up there behind it where, the VIP for the band, all that kind of stuff. They're standing up back there and like on the side. It's unreal, dude.
I've seen a few pictures like of the crowd and stuff, and it looks insane.
Sea of people.
It's my favorite show of the year, and we were supposed to play it last year in 2020, and of course, COVID and everything like that. So I figured, this year they'd give it to us again because we didn't play it in 2020, and then we got the call 2 weeks ago that we didn't get, and I was like, well, I'm sure they got a good band. And they did. They got, I think they got Dr. Zard for our night. And they're a good band. I mean, not US, but they're a good band. And
well, you guys are playing, I'm sure somewhere you'll still maybe be at the Pavilion or something, right? I mean,
no,
not going to play it at all.
No, they won't put they put us at the Pavilion once before. That was the biggest mistake of their lives.
Yeah.
That was a big liability right there. That place was so packed out. No emergency vehicles could get in and out. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And Scotty,
I've never been over there. I just,
the director of it came up to me after the show. He said, "We made a mistake. We should, this, it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I mean, there were so many people. They were hanging from the rafters and that. It was just unreal. From some friends of mine said they came in and had to walk over balconies just to get around. Like they're climbing over railings on balconies because there's so many people packed in there.
That night of seeing y'all on the main stage is my only experience at the fair. I've never been to the Pavilion. I don't know nothing else really. I've just heard people talk about it and stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of like a step down for us.
Sure.
All those years of playing on the big stage, and we did the Pavilion. And then we made a mistake, and we went back on the big stage again.
Yeah.
And for the following years, but I was disappointed we didn't get it this year, just because we didn't play it last year because of the COVID thing. But maybe next year.
Yeah.
It's one of those gigs. You remember we talked about it earlier. You don't when things are going to end.
Yeah.
We always talk about it, and this could be our last year at the fair. We always talked about it, and we always talk about it. And I always say, you're only as good as your last performance.
Yeah.
So leave it out there.
Yep.
Every time. It's going to be.
It doesn't matter where you are. Because
we don't know when it's going to be your last.
Right. And so
you may have this plan in your mind, but things don't ever go as planned.
Right. So, every year at the fair, we left it out there, and after we performed, we would stick around for an hour and a half talking to people, signing stuff, just giving away stuff, signing shirts, signing 8x10s. What band does that?
Yep.
Yeah, man. That's special.
And you talk to people, and I'm going to tell a story. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a person that came up to us one time after we played the fair. We went to Rick's, and we were playing Rick Cafe in Starkville a few weeks later, and this person came out and said, "You saved my life at the fair." And we were like, what are you talking about? And this person said that night at the fair, they drove to the fair, parked the car, they had a loaded gun in the car, and they were going to come to the fair to take their life after, like go to the fair,
Oh, wow.
Take their own life. And this person said that they came and they saw our show, and we talked to them like anybody else, and made them feel special enough that they said that they weren't going to take their life.
Wow. Dude. Oh, man. I mean, I
that's
didn't know it was that strong. I'm sorry.
That's what you do it for sometimes, man. You're sitting there going, you made somebody feel special again.
Well, when we were talking to Topher, a couple of weeks ago, do you know Topher Brown? He was in the band Perry. He was the lead guitarist for band Perry, and he's also he was in the band The Colonels. He was one of the creators of the Colonels. Yeah,
that rings a bell. Yeah,
and he was also with Jason Miller for a little while too.
Okay.
But anyways, we talked about how a lot of people that come watch our shows or whatever, some of them you can tell are looking for something. They're looking for somebody to believe in them or for them to believe in,
Yeah.
And you can see it on some of these people, and but I've never heard, a story that strong, in that type of situation. I mean, dude, that person was looking for something to believe in, man, or somebody to believe in them, and I'm not meaning on a crazy level 10, but just a little something, man. Look, I'm going to tell you what, I had somebody tell me the other day that it means so much when people smile. People don't smile no more, and dude, you just people. Go around your everyday right now.
This is people. This is people right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
Nobody looks into each other's eyes anymore.
Be nice to somebody, man. You don't have any idea what some other person's going through that you meet during the day. It could be something really drastic like that fella there, but being nice just made all the difference in the world.
Right. And they said, everybody in the band talked to them that night. They made them feel like worth.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that. Nobody else knows, but I'm telling you now, there's stories like that all the time. But that one really hit home,
No doubt.
Sure, I bet, man.
And when you hear that, you're just like, oh, huh? It hits you like, for real? Like, okay. But there's stuff like that all the time where you make feel somebody's life is worth something, so that was cool.
Well, and a lot of times people just, some people want attention and things like that. But, I don't know, man, just the smallest little things of attention, it ain't got to be, you don't have to be their best friend in the world or stick around with them the rest of the night or whatever, but you got to treat them with the value of a human being and that they're somebody special, whether they realize or not. Everybody's special. They just don't know it. Some people just don't know it.
People are going to a show to escape life.
Yeah.
People come to a US show or a Velcro Pygmies show or, the Dukes or whatever, they're coming. They're coming to escape. You know what I mean? They're coming to forget this.
Mm.
You know?
That's right.
So
take me to a fun place. Take me to a fun place. Get me out of this real world.
Right.
Everybody's against
what
everybody.
What makes it even more special is when you talk to them after. Mm. So you got this escape, and then these guys are human. They're talking to me. It's like, we are human. We have lives. We put our pants on one leg at a time. Well, not Jeff. He jumps into his.
Dude, this right here was the most special podcast. I no doubt. I mean, this was the most
completely agree
heartfelt.
100%.
I mean, this was the most heartfelt and special one for sure, no doubt. Um, Cam's was the most energetic one for sure. Like he hit the
Yeah.
gas, dude. That dude's full of energy, you know. All of them have been special.
Very.
Yeah.
But this one right here is the most heartfelt and like, man, just a jewel, you know. And
Oh.
I can't thank you enough, you know. I mean,
Hey,
you don't really, this
thank
right
you
here,
guys.
no matter what happened, like I said, being able to now look back and see this reel in this time period of all our lives is going to be special, you know.
Yeah, I hope so. And hey, thanks to you guys. I mean, this is awesome what you're doing.
Thank you.
Like, really, it really is, man. Like I
it's like a campfire session. You ever had those campfire sessions with folks, dude? And you're like, man, I wish somebody would have just been recording this or something, you know?
Yeah.
The real talk.
You should do an anniversary show where you have like all your first 30 guests
Yeah.
on at the same time, and just throw a question out and hear all the answers. You know what I mean? Like some of them will be redundant. They really will. They really will, man.
That's one thing, regardless of the level some of the folks that we've had on here, whether they're getting started out or like you know, been around a while and then had a lot of success with this stuff. Everybody's got something that's all you kind of understand, you know, where people's coming from.
Yeah.
With what they are going through or have been through at some point.
Yeah.
There's a common ground there with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And also the fact that you went probably, man, I don't know, not saying everybody went real, but man, he really opened the door and said, hey, I'm going to invite you into the good, bad, and the ugly.
Oh, man. This has been
and that right there, dude, people don't really, really realize. And there's been a couple of times in some of the episodes we've had before where I knew some things and I kind of wish they would have went there. Yeah. A part of me, you know, but you opened that door up and said, hey, this is the real. And I think people really, really are going to be relative in not just the music business, but in life in general. And a lot of respect there, you know.
And there's a lot of things we didn't talk about.
You know,
so it's.
Is there anything else that you would be willing to share with us that may be on your mind? Feel free, you know.
Again, this is one of those things. I'm going to go to bed and in an hour I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Why didn't we?
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We kind of skipped, dude, to those highlight after you joining US, because I know that everybody knows you with that, right? It's going to be watching. I know a lot of people are going to know about US and about all of that. So I just kind of started hitting the highlights. You know, it was like, okay, the album, Chase Lexi, and then Vince Neil, and just trying to hit some of the finer things. But I know there was probably a ton of shit that happened from 96 to now.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, that's longer than most people's career period in music.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cool though, it being about Richie here. I mean, because this is you've got one hell of a story to stand alone. US is impressive, no doubt, but man, this has been incredible hearing your journey and that being a part of it,
Yeah, exactly.
And I do want to apologize for US that you got Richie.
Nah, dude. They scored getting you, buddy, for sure.
Because we didn't really even talk about drumming or anything. I was like, good.
They got a business partner, and that's what you want. You want a business partner that's going to be there for the long haul and going to fight the fight and get it in all aspects, not just when is it my time to play? I'm going to play it right. You better play yours right. You don't want just a band member. You want a partner.
Yeah. No, that's what we are. We're all partners, even our crew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're all family. It's like no one's better than anybody else. We're the sum of the parts.
Right.
Individually, I mean, we might be horrible, but as a group, we're pretty good.
Man, I think you're just a humble guy. I think all you guys are really badass musicians.
Okay, Jay,
hey, no ass kissing. I'm just being straight up, man.
I got my pajamas on. I don't have my wallet. I mean, golly. Well, that reminds me of a quote of myself. I always say to people, I'm not great. I'm not a great drummer. I said, I'm a good drummer. I'm good, but I'm great at being good.
Yeah, I saw that quote.
That's a good one. That's a damn good one.
You just rang a bell. Hold on. You know what? Let me just say some quotes real quick.
Uh-oh.
And you tell me what you think. You just rang a bell. The one who insists he was first in line is the last to remember her name. You pay for love, but the hate comes free.
Those are favorite lyrics from songs.
I knew they came from songs. All right,
Okay, the first one on the first in the line, last to remember her name, Psychedelic Furs. I always love that line. It's from what song is it? I can't even. I feel like I'm on the spot. And then the second line is from Sting. You pay for love, but the hate comes free.
That King of Pain?
Think about it. Just put it in your head for a second. Pay for love, but the hate comes free. That's a great line. I love
dude.
That.
That's like, magic.
Yeah.
You can never win or lose if you don't run the race.
Psychedelic Furs.
The kindest guts, the cruelest heart, all of my heart.
ABC.
Your kids will never learn how to step up and become responsible for themselves if you can't step back.
Ooh, that's a good one. Did I write that one? Is that really?
That's one of your favorite quotes.
Oh man.
Your kids will never learn how to step up and become responsible for themselves if you can't step back.
Right. Because
that's gold. Yeah.
Because of this helicopter parent thing. If you don't step back and let them make mistakes and learn, they're never going to. You can't cover up everything for these kids. That's what I find today. There's a lot of parents that have tried to just. Kid makes a mistake. Oh, we'll take care of it. No, let them make the mistake. Step back. Let them learn.
Yep. Dude, that's what's happening. That's we could go into all that, but that goes back to even some of the stuff we were talking about before. You got to let them stand on their own 2 feet and learn to become an adult. That's what you're raising them to become.
Yep.
Why would you not allow them to learn how to become?
Yeah.
And then you said the quote, "I'm not a great drummer. I'm a good drummer, but I make great I'm great at being good."
Yeah.
And that was your favorite quote. I'm gonna tell you a favorite line of mine, and I know this is not about me, but just you saying that came from songs that rang a bell. And Earl Thomas, I know we're going old country here, and I love all kinds of music, by the way, but Earl Thomas Conley had a line, and in one of his songs, and he says, "Will I finally find the love of my life when I'm out of my prime and out of my mind?" And I was like, because he was talking about how he always didn't let the girl inside. The song's talking the whole time about he's kind of, is with them and he has a good time. And he's like, okay, on to the next one, next, whatever, or just not let them too close. Right. And it said, the line said, "Will I finally find the love of my life when I'm out of my prime and out of my mind?" And, that really rang a bell with me, because I'm like, man, I see a lot of people that don't really ever settle down till it's too damn late, and it was like, man, that is such a great lyric, man.
Yeah, it's almost along that lines that looking at the sky. We don't, you know what I mean? It's just same thing. We're so focused on that we forget things sometimes, and we just, wow, that's a great line. That's a great line. What's that guy's name?
Earl
Thomas Conley.
Okay.
He was huge in the 80s and stuff. He had several country number ones, Matter of fact, Bill Marshall, who was with Hank Jr., and Billy Earhart, both was with the Bama Band, Hank Williams Jr., for 20 something years. And they both were, talking about the podcast, that Earl Thomas Conley was on tour with them several times, Hank Jr. in the 80s, opened up for him,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man. One more really deep line from an artist that'll really get you to thinking is from Kid Rock, who once said, "Ball, what a ball." Dang.
Good night. Good night, Irene.
Yeah. I knew when you said Kid Rock, it's going to be some brainless.
Yeah, that bullshit came up the other day when we were joking around.
Well, do you know what, though? No. Kid Rock actually had the line, and everybody uses it on Facebook all the time. You get what you put in, and people get what they deserve.
No, he actually does have some really, really badass lyrics. But that was funny.
Oh, dang.
and he likes Waffle House, so we got that going for us. Anyway,
man, what an awesome time, dude.
Yeah, this has been.
Can't thank you enough, man, for spending all this time with us. I mean, honest to God, this has been really awesome. It really has.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I kept you guys up late.
No, dude, we kept you up late because it's like 1 o'clock there. 1:06.
Oh God, yeah, it is.
Dang, I mean, dude. Yeah, he's like, you bastards.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I hope she's not snoring. And I feel bad because I brought all these hats. You guys always wear hats, and
promo them babies. Put some love on that US hat.
No, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, screw you.
I don't want that funk.
Everybody listening, go see US if you hadn't already.
Man.
Obviously, you probably have, but go see them more.
Yes.
And thank you, Richie, so much.
All right, thank you, J-Rob. Thank you. Yay.
Yeah,
it was great.
Thank you, brother. US is now a American tradition. It's become a Southeastern America. Well, I don't know. They've been all over. It seems like it's a US tradition now to go see US.
We used to have a T-shirt that said "Brewed in Canada, sold in the South."
That's nice. Nice.
So,
dude, thank you.
A couple of those kicking around.
Y'all have a fantastic night. I mean, I love y'all and I appreciate you so much, man.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, I love y'all. Stay safe, man.